Slenderman, Slenderman, all the children try to run. Slenderman, Slenderman, to him it's part of the fun. Slenderman, Slenderman, dressed in darkest suit and tie. Slenderman, Slenderman, you most certainly will die.
Oh, hello, and welcome to Al Dente Rigamortis. I'm Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm happy and it's almost over. Also the gamer Neil.
And we're here to discuss those internet stories, most creepy, most pasta, and most Jeffuary. And tonight we have, as part of a two-hit combo for Jeffuary, but also Slender Month, we have Jeff the Killer versus Slenderman. So yeah, this one, Jeff the Killer versus Slenderman, was written by Dylan Roberts. Dylan!
You son of a bitch. That could be taken multiple ways.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It's like, I don't know if that's actually a quote or not you're doing.
Yeah.
It's on
sure it is.
Yeah. It's on Spinpasta.wikia. Where creepypasta spin-offs and fandom, like fan fiction, happen. And I suppose we'll go into the rundown. So this is a pretty bare bones rundown for this one. On a dreary, rainy evening, Slenderman gets his opening kill scene as he stalks a young woman in the woods. Meanwhile, Jeff gets home from some drinking and murdering. Remember, kid, please slash responsibly. And feels a presence that compels him to investigate beyond his home. He feels a presence he hasn't sensed since, and then he just walks off. Or storms out. Upon visiting a local cemetery with some familiar gravestones, Jeff drunkenly ventures into the woods, again compelled by this presence, where he eventually encounters the Slenderman. An intense fight ensues, one that starts in the woods, leads to the cemetery, bolsters up Jeff's rage for a second wind, and then back into the woods again. Jeff accidentally starts a fire, which spreads into a forest fire. Slenderman, bloodied and injured, manages to impale Jeff on a tree before bouncing out to safety. It appears Jeff dies in the flames. However, sometime later, after the fires have been put out, some new victims decide to trot off over to the remains of the forest and such to investigate, and wind up being Jeff's next victims as he appears horribly burned and wounded, but ready to kill again. So that's Jeff the Killer versus Slenderman in a nutshell. So on to everyone tolerates the grammar inquisitions at this point. So I got a couple. I got a handful. I got a fair amount. We're gonna start with this one. She just came in with some friends, just a fun night out. So I believe it should be she had just come in with some friends, just kind of a past tense, present tense kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Next
My
one
point
here.
with that is there's no point. I have that as well.
Yeah.
But I've also added the fact that it doesn't need to be broken into two sentences, because it says she had just come in with some friends, just a fun night out, period. Nothing could have happened, or so she thought. That could just be combined into nothing. She just that could be just combined to she had just come in with some friends, just a fun night out. Nothing could have happened, or so she thought, period.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I feel
each little section just commented out.
Yeah. I do feel like this story does have a couple of instances of that where there's really short periods or like sentences that are used kind of as, like, again, the author's using them as emphasis, but they don't need to necessarily be that way. They're kind of just there for like some form of emphasis. Like there's I can't remember, I didn't note any of them down, but I recalled reading them and thinking that one of you guys would probably end up talking about them.
Well, got you covered.
Yeah. But anyway, moving on to my next one. It involves climbing through the woods. Is climbing really the right word you want there? I think maybe it would involve climbing, or it involves. Sorry, I didn't mean to say
the right word. It should be like it involved climbing.
the exact same word? No. I think maybe it involved hiking would be a better like fit for there.
Navigating through the woods.
Yeah, it would involve navigating through the woods. Yeah, something climbing doesn't seem proper for or
Unless
like
it
doesn't seem accurate.
actually meant like she had to climb up a tree, and there was like some pathways up in the trees that she used as a shortcut.
Well, then this story should really add those details.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's one of those special. It's one of those like like forest paths that have like canopy walks.
Totally. Also, have
Which are actually
another
a thing.
yeah, for sure. Also, have another point to make about this section.
Sure.
The way that it's separated, it's not really separated by what's going on. It just kind of seems like it's separated randomly because it ends with just as her eyelids took cover for her eyes, which first off is weird.
Yeah, yeah.
Something shined out from the corner of her vision, and then next paragraph, she instantaneously flashed her eyes open once again.
Yeah. It seems like maybe like the paragraph work isn't too tight. It's very loosey goosey on like where the paragraphs start and end.
Yeah, and like the where's the section in this story?
Scroll right up to the very top.
Yep.
Yeah.
Third
Yeah,
paragraph.
like for example, it's like the one I was actually reading was my correction, not the real one. Either way, the real one says like the cold woman hesitated, but came to a decision that anything that would get her to her warm home quicker is the better way. Period. She headed towards the forest, and this is all the same thing in the same sentence. I feel like quicker would be the better way. Would be a good end to a paragraph, and then clip down to Sarah headed towards the forest as she made her way in. Like it's not separated very well in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I understand. And
this
I
whole
agree.
section I had to redo multiple times on my notes
Oh no.
because the first thing was to combine the 3 paragraphs into 2 because it was talking about 2 things. What happened like when she was walking in the rain, and then talking about the shortcut. However, as I read on, I realized that the talk of the shortcut was her mentioning that there's a shortcut. So I had to redo it again to mix it up again. Either way, that whole section's a little clunky in my opinion. Yeah.
All right. Well, not to read the same thing that you just read, but I'm going to read it anyway. Because there's an issue. There's a grammar inquisition in there. The cold woman hesitated, but came to the decision that anything that would get her to her warm home quicker is the better way. I think it should be was the better way, because again, past tense, like present tense kind of thing.
Yeah. But she's thinking of that's her thought in the moment. In the moment,
Yes.
she's thinking whatever way is the quickest is the better way right now in this moment. However,
But
this
formatting
moment is in the past.
Yeah, for story formatting, it's the past. Yeah, like I understand where you're coming from. I think it's wrong.
Yeah, fair.
So next one here. What was marked on the tree mystified her. What looked like a circle with a X inside. I think it should probably be. So what was marked on the tree mystified her, comma. It looked like a circle with an X on inside. Just for some reason that second what kind of like annoyed me. And I was like, I don't think that should be a what. I think it should be an it. Just like, cause yeah, I don't know. Like, is it maybe because of the repetition? I don't know.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but you're wrong.
Fair.
To quote you from when you were
seconds ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you actually not agree with me, or
I don't care, honestly.
That's fair.
I think it works either way.
Okay.
Although to avoid repetition, switching up would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because sometimes, repetition sometimes is annoying to read in a sentence. So, next one though, she thought to herself out loud, "I miss those times back when the world wasn't a," and then it cuts off. Maybe she began to think to herself out loud, because like at this point is like she was like thinking back on like her time in the woods and stuff like that, and then it immediately cuts to this. Like in the next set, like in the same like line, they're 2 different sentences, but there's the different line, and then it cuts down to the bottom, like to the next like dialogue of "I miss those times" and stuff like that. So I just feel like a little bit add to like show that like she's thinking about she's thinking out loud to herself, and then we hear what she's thinking out loud.
Well, yeah, but the previous sentence just said she thought to herself out loud, and then there's words.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's just like the quote of "she thought to herself out loud" and then going to the quote. I don't know. I might be really nitpicking right now, but it was kind of bugging me.
Maybe
So-
if the line of "she thought to herself out loud" was like, I don't know, because all of the dialogue is by itself. I was gonna say click it down directly in front of the dialogue, but that's not how the dialogue is formatted in this. So
Yeah, and it's not how it should be because that
yeah,
you're supposed to anyway. At least that's how I've been taught in creative writing project classes and stuff to move the when you're doing dialogue, you start a new line.
yeah. So I really don't know what correction you're wanting to have happen here.
I think it's just like I feel like this might be just nitpicking now that I'm thinking about it, but just a little bit more pretense before she starts talking. But anyway, I'll move on.
Okay.
Or maybe have she thought to herself out loud after the
I
quote.
was thinking that too, but I don't think that I don't think it works as effectively because she's cut off at the end. Maybe if it was like I miss those times back when the world wasn't up, and then it cuts off, and then she's like she was cut off while she was thinking to herself out loud.
Or have it saying like her voice trailed off as she was thinking to herself out loud.
Yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that could work as well because I was thinking about that as well when I was making this note, but it didn't seem right at the time for me. Like when I was trying to like figure out what's wrong with what I think is wrong with this part.
Saying in the descriptor before the quote that it's gonna be it's gonna get trailed off or cut off.
No, that's
like
not
a spoiler though.
No, yeah, but that's not what we're saying. Like we're saying that like her dialogue comes first, and then after the trail off of the dialogue, that's when we put this in and say that she was cut off while she was thinking out loud.
Can you read the next line right after the quote, please? The next sentence?
Hang on. Yeah, I don't have it up. So I didn't have it up with my notes, so I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, okay, good.
Okay, here we go. Fuck. Oh, yeah, so it says so I miss those times before when the world wasn't, but and then her voice trailed off. Sarah, yeah, so really, honestly, we don't need we may not even need or just maybe even combine that top that precursor line with that following line, like her voice trailed off, comma she as she thought to herself out loud.
I strongly disagree.
It's
the way that
fair.
it's laid out right now.
Yeah,
it's laid out the way you would witness it. Let's say you're watching this as a movie. You'd be seeing this lady think like you're hearing her thoughts, and then she starts saying these things out loud, which you read, aka hear, and then it gets cut off. Yeah. It's laid out in the order that it happens.
Okay, that's fair. Man, I'm just slouching in that nitpick nook today again.
You love that.
I've claimed ownership again of it, guys. It's mine.
Yeah, it's pretty much always yours.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I latch onto small details and stuff like that may be unnecessary.
Sometimes when you're reading it, just something doesn't jive well.
Yeah.
You're like, something's wrong here, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why we're bringing it up here in the grammar position. But I will defer to continue on. Okay, so this one here, here's another one that kind of annoyed me. Weird. She clenched her eyes shut out of fear, and as she opened them again, a tall white man dressed in a suit stood before her. She had become visually impaired at the sight of this man. Sorry, guys, this bugged me. So, gotta be a better way to phrase her visual impairment. It just seems so analytical and cold to me. So I rewrote it, or I tried to I rewrote it. And let's see how yesterday's me rewrote it.
Okay.
For notes and stuff. She clenched her teeth shut. She clenched her eyes shut out of fear, and as she opened them again, a tall white man dressed in a suit stood before her. Yada yada yada. Suddenly, as she stared at the man, Sarah's vision distorted in an unnatural way, like static on TV. Because that's what I'm guessing is what is happening, and from what it sounds like later on with Jeff's encounter with Slenderman, that's what he's doing is causing their eyes to go all buggy and stuff.
For sure. Yeah.
So I just kind of rewrote it.
You're right, and I think the problem is
it's
described for once. Yeah. So I think the problem is it's being described. The visualization isn't there because it just says that she's being visually
impaired. Yeah.
But how? Like,
yeah.
There's a lot of ways that could happen, especially with some weird creature.
Yeah, like before I added like static like a TV screen, because that's like what everybody thinks about Slenderman. I was thinking like, well, maybe it's like visually impaired, like she's like her eyes are darkening, or like I don't know, like, or like it's getting all warbly, but like
or everything's like blurring out and she can't focus on anything. Like it could be anything.
Yeah, but we don't have that. So like, yeah, so we need a definition here.
Yeah.
Holy shit, we're both on the same wavelength in this instance.
Oh, don't worry, I'm sure that'll switch immediately when you go to your next
yeah. Much like this story, our opinions are a bit of a roller coaster. Like sometimes we sync up, sometimes we dip down away from each other.
It happens.
Yeah.
At this moment, we're like on different roller coasters, right? But at this moment, we're both at the peak, just on opposite ends of the park, and like waving to each other, and then we could just both go back down at different angles.
Yeah, the peaks of both of those roller coasters are like synchronized, so that like you can like see each other. It's like, hey Bob, hey Steve, and then it goes like completely different avenues. Anyway, back on track. So
you got some title card stuff there.
What? Yeah. The killer approached the desolate forest. Before he entered, he took a quick glare to his left. Jeff was not far from a cemetery. He trembled towards it. This is used a couple of times in the story for his movement. He trembles towards something, and it's just like, I feel like you need stumbled.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he stumbled towards it, not like it just feels like a better fit.
Or he's just really cold.
Yeah, he's just really he's just really nervous. So like he doesn't show like facial like nervousness or sadness. He just laughs things off. So maybe his body just trembles like as a reaction, as a physical reaction for his like nervousness and cautiousness. But I feel like he probably stumbled. But
it depends, because you brought up a good point. Stumbling is good, because he's drunk. But if he's actually frightened to go there, then trembling works.
Yeah, because there are multiple cases in the story when he's facing against Slenderman, and any normal person, and in fact it showed like there's details of him like being in front of this thing, and the next few sentences with any other person would have been like terror and fear and stuff, but Jeff just laughs them off because he's insane. Like he's a sociopath and psychotic in this, so he doesn't fear, he just laughs things off, like the Joker kind of style. So it's almost like, I wonder if maybe the tremble, like in this instance, trembled is probably the wrong word, but you could art critic it that to a degree to say that it's there to represent that his body is physiologically reacting, even if he's not emotionally reacting.
How about this? he stumbled towards the cemetery. His body's shaking in anticipation of trembling in anticipation of seeing like lose
those gravestones, because we gotta save that revelation for when he smashes through the gravestone later in the story.
Yeah, a little bit more descriptor would be good.
Yeah,
because both are probably the adequate choice.
Yeah. Okay. And then there's this one that really fucked me over. Like just when I was reading.
Wait, shit, you're wrong.
Wait.
Right. Because I said that we shouldn't be on the next one. We can't agree.
Shit. We fucked it up.
Yeah, damn it.
All right. Anyway, man, now people are gonna think that we're like it's part of a skit and stuff. God damn it! Now. Anyway, this line: squeezing his two whiskey bottles, he studied the forest in a drunken haze. What? Apart from like the fact that maybe the bottles were made of plastic, which we do find out later is not the case. But like my first take was, okay, well maybe he's squeezing the bottles because I mean like I know that some alcohol bottles are plastic or so like they can be squeezed and stuff. Maybe like replace squeezing with downing, like after down.
You're thinking about it completely wrong.
I am apparently. What's wrong? What am I? We're async now. Yeah, we're out of sync.
Yay. Okay. So like walking through the forest, squeezing the bottles means like he's increasing his grip on the bottles so he doesn't drop them. He's not like actually squeezing them together.
See, I thought he was just like squeezing them as in like as he was like downing them or like finishing them.
No, because he's looking
Okay.
around the forest, howling them while
That's
looking
true.
around the forest.
Yeah, no, that's fair. No, I get it now. I didn't catch it when I first read this, so
But because you didn't catch it, that means it isn't described well enough.
Yeah, so it should be more tightening his grip on his 2 whiskey bottles.
yes.
Yeah, for sure. Because then there's no question what's happening.
All right. Moving on to the next one. He tampered around, dragging his feet and cursing at the almost unbearable noise. I think you want he trampled around? Because I googled tampered. I was like, it doesn't quite fit fit the bill. Like tampering is like damage. Like is it's like purposely. Hang on, I gotta pull it up again. I didn't actually copy paste it.
Isn't it like tamping? Like if let's say you're laying cement or something,
Interfering.
tamping it down is like
Okay, tamping might be the better one because tamper, like he tampered, is to interfere with something in order to cause damage or make unauthorized alterations, to exert a secret or corrupt influence upon someone. Whereas to tamp is ram or pack a substance down or into something firmly. Okay, so trample might be a good one, but it probably just needs like he tamped around. Or no, I really feel like it should be trampled because like he's
the
trampling
only way.
around.
If you really want to use tamp that bad, it would be he's walking around, his feet tamping the loose leaves into the ground or whatever. That kind of deal. It's really just stomping around though.
Yeah, again, he stomped around. That also works as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one here. Actually, the next two are basically a case of the story lying to me. To the right of him lie the cemetery. I believe you want. To the right of him lay the cemetery. And then the next one is, as he ran past the trees, he noticed one that lie away from the others. And I was like, I think you want, as he ran past the trees, he noticed one that stood away from the others.
I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Your lying joke.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
Yeah, well, I try and fail.
It's fine.
So onto this next one here. Despite his hesitance, it left the area anyway and quickly rushed towards Jeff. I think you're missing a T and an H there at the beginning, so it should be despite this hesitance, it left.
What was it?
So it's despite is hesitance is what it says.
Oh.
But I think it's just missing like the T and the H for like despite this hesitance.
Yeah.
Or
even its hesitance.
Yeah, probably
but
it.
The problem is
Slenderman. It's not clearly
anything. But the problem with that is it is used right after that as well. So for duplication's sake, it could be this. Or even despite their hesitance. Because there is a gender neutral pronoun.
I hate the word there.
Well, suck it up, pumpkin.
Because it's also they, which is multiple.
I know.
Mm-hmm. English language.
Yeah.
We need to make a new word that's gender neutral.
Wrong there.
Well, they sound the same.
No,
That's
it's
my point.
THEIR?
Yep.
Is it IER or EIR? I hate that.
EIR. It's the
Before
IR.
E except after C. Okay.
Yeah. My whole point is they sound the same. That's
Yes. No. Yeah. They're welcome to the English language, gamer.
that's the worst.
Yeah. We got multiple words for multiple things. I'm pretty sure that also is for other languages as well, gamer.
Oh, I'm sure.
I just hate language.
Yeah.
We should all just be cavemen again.
Yeah, use cave drawings.
Yep. Anyway, moving on to the next one here. Actually, this one's partially a grammar acquisition because I had to touch it up, but I'm going to comment on it as well. Slenderman briskly disappeared into the darkness, but illuminated behind Jeff. I like this teleporting sequence. It just needs a slight touch up. So, Slenderman briskly disappeared into the darkness, only to illuminate behind Jeff. Like just a little bit extra in there, just to like that he illuminated in behind Jeff.
Yeah.
Because I like that idea. I like that imagery that it kind of propels of this like transitional teleport technique he has, where he like vanishes into the darkness and then like basically just like gets like just appears into the light, right? Like slides back into the light behind Jeff. Like that's what that imagery comes to mind when I hear that. He illuminated behind Jeff.
when I first read that, I was very confused as to why that word was chosen. But the more I thought about it, it's like, okay, so he's disappearing into darkness. So him reappearing from the darkness is him being illuminated. So I guess that works.
Exactly. Yeah, it's actually a really smart use of that word
Well,
in conjunction with
actually,
the rest of it. Oh no.
actually, this helps to solidify the fact that Slenderman has a light bulb head.
Son of a bitch. Well, I know what Slenderman has for a head now. Thanks, guys.
Yep. You're welcome. I don't know why I'm saying you're welcome. That's my key.
What's funny is like I remember back in that phase of creepypasta vlog or no Slender vlogs on YouTube. I did watch a small series where it was just a one-man crew, and he was able to actually make a Slenderman, like a creepy, like kind of inhuman Slenderman, that if you looked hard enough, it was clearly a light bulb he was using for his head, or not even a light bulb, but it was like it might have even been like a bowling ball pin.
Oh yeah.
To use as the head for like the dummy that he was using for the Slenderman, and it was like, you know what? That's really creative. That's a really cool like technique to try. Like, because again, it's just like a short like video series that this guy, this like teenager or like 20-something person in like another country was using. But it was like, that's a really good technique if you're like just want to do this video, but you have nobody that wants to help you. Like, that's a really good like if you don't have a person for a Slenderman, you just make a mannequin like Slenderman.
Yeah.
But now I can't freaking get that out of my head. Like the Slenderman that Jeff's fighting is just a fleshy. Oh God, he's a fleshlight.
Oh.
I mean, I wouldn't have worded it like that, but okay.
Well, because like he's definitely like cut
Gross.
up and he's cut up and bleeding on his face later on in the story. So like that light bulb's fleshy.
I would have gone with the less gross and more cool option of comparing it to that like techno organic virus thing that you keep referring to in that art.
Page. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know me.
Unfortunately.
gross to the end.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. I blame Kevin Smith and Trauma Films.
Oh, that's fair.
Moving right along. Here we go. Jeff had grabbed his lighter. So I was going to correct this, but I'm pretty sure. So the problem here is that the lighter is spelled L-I-T. But I'm pretty sure that there are certain lighter brands, like Bic, maybe I think uses it, where they spell it illiterately because poor literacy is cool. Thank you, Linkara.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure I've seen like lighter as like Liter with certain lighter brands.
I mean, I just Googled it. And
I did also Google it, and I did come up with some.
The problem is that later on, this lighter has to be a Zippo lighter.
Oh, you're right. I wonder does Zippo have? Yeah, you know what? I'm not seeing. Okay, you know what? If that's the case, then yeah, that should be because it comes up again like with the same spelling. So
multiple times.
Unless
didn't
maybe
spell it, that's all.
well, unless like
he spells it right at least once.
Does he?
Yep.
Okay. Is it at the very beginning when he's like when he's checking his pockets for all his stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like checking for his cigs, his lighter, and of course his knife.
Okay.
Okay, so it should probably be lighter, as in Lighther.
Because it creates light.
Yes.
As opposed to leader.
Yeah, leader. Yeah, exactly. Well, no, because the R and the E are in the right place. So it's not late.
American spelling.
Fuck.
Yeah.
God damn Americans. Learn the proper English. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, moving on before we piss off too many people.
Alienate our entire American audience.
Yeah. I was about to say, it's cool. Some of my best friends are Americans.
Wow.
Anyway. Hi, Adam. Slenderman began to shake Jeff around. As he did this, Jeff bit at him. Okay, I know what the problem is. Sorry. Slenderman began to shake Jeff around. As he did this, Jeff bit at him, and a loud crack of bone could be heard. So, not a long run-on sentence, but there's like 3 fucking commas in like very short order. So I kind of like brought it down a little bit. Slenderman began to shake Jeff around, comma. All the while, Jeff bit at him, comma, and a loud cracking of bone could be heard. Just to kind
So
of
you
like,
just don't like the as he did this?
I guess as he did this, maybe you just don't. You don't
That's
need the
what's
comma.
there.
Yeah, I guess maybe you just don't need the comma in the middle between as he did this. Jeff bit.
Well, you do need it.
Maybe just get rid of that as he did this. Just like Jeff biting him the whole time.
So then it would be Slenderman began to shake Jeff around. Jeff bit at him in a loud crack.
Jeff biting him, and a loud crack of bone could be heard. Maybe it's just poorly set up. I don't know.
Maybe there's nothing really wrong with that.
Again, I'm just lounging here. I'm like slinking down in the comfiness of the nitpick nook a little too much.
Maybe.
Try to get up a little bit here. All right.
Before you move on, though.
Okay.
Sorry, you're going to say something?
No, I was going to move on to my next one.
Oh, okay. So before we move on, though, I have a note on this. Does anyone else have a note on this?
No.
No.
Cool. My note is the fact that Slenderman can shrug off his arm being sliced off and not be phased. Meanwhile, he gets bitten and he's like, "Oh!" and he drops him.
You're not wrong. He does become more and more human in terms of maybe like there's a certain he's got a higher threshold of pain than the rest of us than humans.
Well,
so like he lost his arm. It's like, all right, that's no biggie. And
He
then
lost
like
his arm when he was off of his own turf, and now he's on his own turf being bit, and it hurts.
Well, the losing an arm is just a flesh wound.
I mean, yeah, yeah, exactly.
And a bite isn't.
Oh, a
Bites are
bite
great.
hurts more.
You also got to worry
In a
about like all the
cartoon, maybe.
bacteria that's in a mouth,
Uh-huh.
like chomping. I mean, at least with the arm, it was a knife, a perfectly sterile, bloody knife.
And it was a straight cut. So I mean,
Yeah, that's
he
the other
lost
thing,
his arm. Like, it doesn't hurt. It's not there.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
It's also why like all the knife wounds on his face, like he's just like shrugging that off too. But like the bite is like a human bite, unless canon here, guys, or like possible headcanon here, guys.
Uh-huh.
One of the banes of Slenderman is human saliva.
Uh-huh.
It's like garlic for vampires.
Uh-huh. I mean, no one's tried biting him before. So
No, nobody's gotten the chance. This is the first time somebody's bitten Slenderman.
sure, let's just get out of here.
Okay,
I don't care. I just think it's ridiculous.
that's fair. And then the next one here, again, nitpick, I guess, or it probably is a nitpick. Let's find out. The white monster could hear Jeff screaming, even from a large distance away. Guys, I feel like it should be even from a long distance away.
What is the wording of it?
So, even from a large distance away was how he could. So, the white monster could hear Jeff screaming, even from a large distance away. That's the original text. And then I added in, even from a long distance away. Just because, like, long is usually to me, it's a more appropriate word or like descriptor for distance.
For measurement, yeah.
For measurement than large. Yeah. And I mean, I will concede that they are both valid because large is vague enough a use that you could have it here. But I think
it's saying like it's a large number of feet away, basically.
Yeah. But for more articulation, I feel like long would be.
Yes. You're right, but what's there isn't necessarily wrong.
Yes.
You're just right.
I'm just right, but also nitpick.
Yep. You're in that nook.
Yep. I'm deep in the trenches.
You are more right than what the story is, so this isn't really a nitpick.
Yeah.
How dare you me?
The
right,
story is right.
No, I'm kidding.
The story
Anyway,
is
that's
right, but you're more right.
Just because you're a bad guy doesn't make you a bad guy. But that's the end of my grammar inquisitions. So, Mikey, the E stands for evil. Take it away.
All right. Well, we already got my ones and the ones with the lighter or leader.
The litter. The litter.
And then I have a it story with a front butt.
I guess it's and now an it story with a butt. Take it away.
It involved climbing through the woods, but that wasn't possible at this point. It seemed as if it was hesitant to leave its home court. It was quickly met by thick blood that barraged from his shoulder. It was completely drenched in blood. It read out his brother's name, Lou. It continued until he saw a large branch sliding through his torso, and he hit the base of the tree. It looked somewhat human. It was completely white, with hints of gray where it looked like he had been burned. Its long black hair was thin.
Okay, I got to say, you've actually uncovered a possible grammar position here with barraged.
Yeah.
Because I just googled what barrage is in terms of like definition. Bombard someone with something. So maybe it works. Like
It's a lot of blood then.
yeah, it's just like and we'll get to that because in my actual thoughts, I've got a note on that, on that whole fight sequence.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just like it was such an interesting use of that word because it's like a barrage of like blood coming out of his shoulder.
A lot of blood.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the way that your story went, it put some kind of different and hilarious imagery in my head. One being like there was the mention of Lou, and like it was being repeated constantly. And then as soon as you went on from that, it was like repeating constantly as he felt the branch being slid through his chest. So it's almost like Slenderman was just like saying Lou repeatedly as he picked him up and just went.
Oh God! It's like
down a branch.
Oh my God! It's
like Lou as he's sliding down.
It's like Hachi Shakusama, who who's very similar to Slenderman in terms of like her kind of like appearance and also like her motives and stuff and her powers and stuff. Is that she takes people away and stuff, and she's very tall and like she's 8 feet tall, and that's what her name means.
Mm-hmm.
But her calling card is Po. Oh
yeah.
So it's like Lou. It's just Slenderman's.
Pretty much. And then because it just mentioned the branch, your next line said it was like pure white and human-like. So it was like a pure white tree that was sort of human-y
so
with like
birch.
singed black hair.
Oh God! oh God! So by that definition, we've entered the Slenderman movie, like 2018 movie, where I guess spoilers for that movie. Slenderman takes people and turns them into trees.
Oh right.
Yeah.
And he was just saying Lou, so he's impaling him on Lou.
Oh God!
Oh snap!
Mikey made it better with his It story. This is a first.
This is a second.
Is it?
Full force.
Hey, what?
It came at him with full force.
Oh shit! You're right. Yeah. So long. The It story's finally paid off.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, I don't think we're getting too much of a return on our investment here. Oh God. Okay. Is that all you got there, Mikey?
Yep.
All right. I guess we move on to the grammar in yellow with Gamer.
All right. Pretty early on, saying the dark wet alley was slightly illuminated by Sarah's cell phone light as she shined it every few seconds to see where she was headed. I kind of feel that that's worded oddly because I don't know if that's the wording I would use rather. Because It sounds like she's turning it on and off every few seconds to see where she's headed.
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It shined it every few seconds.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Old cell phones didn't have the flashlight feature, so she's illuminating the screen and then pointing the screen where she's looking.
I get that, but it's saying shined it every few seconds to see where she was headed. She's not shining every few seconds. She should be shining it constantly to see where she's headed.
But she can't. The auto shut off when not touching the screen, so she turns it on, and then it auto turns off, and she has to turn it back on.
Okay, but it says slightly illuminated by Sarah's cell phone light. The light Like it's not saying the cell phone screen,
Well, that's the light coming from the screen, yes.
but it would say screen because it'd be illuminated by Sarah's cell phone screen if it was just the screen. It says light, so I am automatically assumed light. Either way, because I assumed that it was a flashlight on the phone, it should be the dark white alley was slightly illuminated by Sarah's cell phone light, shining it ahead of herself to see where she was headed.
Yeah.
Every few seconds thing is weird.
A slight counter to that. She could be frantically like shining it in different directions, like in different locations.
That's fine,
Mhm.
but it doesn't say any of this. Regardless, it's vague enough.
Yeah.
And not described well enough. So
They
if
hate
that's
it.
the case, fine.
Yeah.
If it's the case that she's using the screen and it keeps shutting off, fine. Just say it. It'd be Sarah's cell phone screen having to take it out of sleep mode every few seconds to see where she's going.
Okay, fair enough.
Either way, it needs words.
Also, I'm happy that I'm not the only one who accidentally cuts people off constantly. And I was just also like, I'm surprised that it was Mikey. Like Mikey just finally getting in his like, it's like, no, I'm talking, damn it. Because I'm just sitting here smiling ear to ear.
Mhm. Okay, so I can move on.
Yes.
Cool. Next one is just a blanket term about the tense of the story. How it's a little weird. We kind of brushed on this, but like this section is told in past tense, although it's told through a narrator that's narrating it all as it's happening in the present. And
Yes.
the woman's thinking about things that happened in the past to what's being narrated.
But
Like, it's just kind
the
of-
omniscient narrator is also saying Sarah is thinking this. So therefore it is still being told by the narrator through the eyes of Sarah for this moment. And oh man, I've gone cross-eyed.
Yeah, you see what I mean?
I understand, but that's how omniscient, like third person perspective narration is done.
Just the way it's laid out, it seems like it's being told in the present, although it keeps referencing things in the past tense. Like it's using past tense in things that are being told now by the narrator.
Yeah.
Like
It
this
should
isn't
be
a story. This isn't a creepypasta where it's some guy that survived a creepypasta monster and he's putting the information on the internet, because that would be past tense. This is the narrator telling us in the moment. So the tense is weird. Long story short.
No. Yeah, I agree. It should. I feel it should remain past tense because, like, this is it. Like, we're not getting fooled that this is an actual account or anything like that. It should just be one tense. To like keep things like from being confusing.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Next one. She began screaming in terror, but was soon silenced by the slender, pale man that stood before her in the dark. 4 o'clock. What was once young boy is now, or was now, wow. What was once young boy, now a cold-blooded psychopath. So the shift of perspective needs to be a little clearer, I think, at that point.
We need that line that
Yeah.
cuts between paragraphs.
Yeah, the line helps.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the number one issue is transitions. I
Yeah,
have
this
that in
was-
my actual thoughts.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely 100% agree. Like this part here, like, is clearly the prologue kill scene, just like the last page of the story on my Google Doc. Anyway, is the epilogue, like after, like right after Jeff is engulfed in flames and stuff. Then it cuts to like a news report. That is where another line should be.
For sure. And next one. Slowly Jeff walked, yet he tripped a few times spanning the short distance. So slowly Jeff isn't a character. There's no comma there.
Gotta go slow.
Yeah, exactly. Just when he's drunk, he's not Jeff. When he's drunk, he's not Jeff the killer. He's slowly Jeff.
Yeah. I'm gonna get you. You're gonna go to sleep.
Yeah, totally.
I'm gonna go to sleep soon too. Just like slow-mo stuff.
Yes. Next one is just this tiny little sentence. Jeff stumbled back to the forest. Period. See Jeff stumble. Like all of these like little tiny sentences. This is like the 4th or 5th time it happened. This is just the first one I took note of it because I got annoyed by it.
Yeah.
They need to be combined into bigger thoughts because there's way too many tiny sentences. It's like a children's book in those little sections. He slashed at it before the sound could come to a silence on its own. Jeff then saw what was hidden out of sight the entire time. Damn rats. You're just some good-for-nothing pests, Jeff proclaimed as a rodent scurried from the leaves. So the layout of this is sort of backwards, in my opinion, in the same way that I was defending that previous statement about things that you were saying. I forget exactly what it was. It was about. It doesn't matter. If you read it as it is, it's like it. If you read this the way it is, it's like if you're watching a movie and they show a character scared by something, then
it's a rat scare.
they go to check something,
Mhm.
and then it cuts to a view of that character's face saying only a rat, and then it pans back to the rat.
Yeah.
It's showing the conclusion before the fake out jump scare even happens, ruining the jump scare.
I see what you mean. I also have this in my actual thoughts about the rat scare, but
Okay. Well, it's a grammar thing because it's backwards.
Well, no, I had a thing about like, well, I didn't catch that part. I didn't like that. This is actually an instance where like I didn't like really get the I didn't get the disconnect that you.
Yeah.
But I understand. Like you explaining it. I understand where you're coming from with this. Like where it's, yeah, it should be like the rat is shown first, and then he comments about it.
Like this. He slashed at it before the sound could come to a silence on its own. Jeff then saw what was hidden out of sight the entire time as a rodent scurried from the leaves. Damn rats, you're just some good-for-nothing pests.
Yeah.
Also, good-for-nothing is supposed to be dashed out.
Oh, is it? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
in between the words, because it's like a saying.
A no good Nick. Yeah. Okay.
So my next one, the noise that drowned Jeff slowly became absent. From the pain, Jeff fell to a tree. I'm assuming the pain is going away too, since he's like starting to recover his vision and stuff. All this after this.
I'm glad you're bringing this up because I wasn't sure where to put this in either grammar position or actual thought. Because I was like, I read that, I was like, what is this? Like what?
Yeah.
Like I can understand if the noise is what's causing the pain, but the absence of the noise should not be causing the pain.
Yeah. So the way I rewrote it is the noise that drowned Jeff slowly became absent, and Jeff fell against the tree as he started to recover from the pain.
Yeah, there we go. That's a lot more clear on what's going on. Because he's like relieved, so he's like no longer like tense. He just like he slackens from the pain.
And the next one, both bottles that were once clenched into his hands fell toward the ground. One crashed against the bark and shattered everywhere. Sorry, I should mention where the period is. Both bottles that were once clenched into his hands fell towards the ground. Period. One crashed against the bark and shattered everywhere. Period. So 2 tiny sentences. So quick fix.
Yep.
Fusion. Oh! With a comma.
Sorry, could you say it? Because I added the Shoggoth like horrible like fusion gone wrong sound effect.
So yeah, just stick them together with a comma. That's all it needs.
Okay.
And my next one. That's it. I'm done playing games. Where the fuck are you bastard? Jeff screamed to the top of his lungs in hope of some kind of response. Period. He was answered abruptly. Period. As he started to walk again, comma, he felt the slightest tingle on his neck. So was he answered? Because it didn't start with the next line of words, basically. Because it says he was abruptly answered, and then I expected words there or an action, but it just he started walking again, which is not an abrupt answer. Abrupt should be immediately happening.
Hey, where's that in the story? I gotta read that again.
Well,
Search for you bastard.
Well, we already know what he answered. Lou.
Later on. And that's how
Okay. Hey, hang on. That's it. I'm done playing games. Jeff screamed to the top of his lungs in hopes some kind of response. He was answered abrupt as he started to walk away. He felt this. Okay, so yeah, as he started to walk away. Yeah, okay, I understand where you're coming from because that, like, he was answered abruptly, so he should have been like it should have happened like a lot quicker than like from him about to walk away, and then he feels a slight tingle on his neck.
Yeah, there shouldn't be an action happening. It should be immediately happening.
I also love his reaction. That's not the damn air, you fucker!
Yeah, that's kind of...
I know. I also it was actually just to keep adding on to that. Get the hell out of those bushes. I was like, oh, because like I thought like when he's like, that's not the damn air, you fucker. I thought he was gonna like whip around and like slash at the air behind him, but instead he's like hearing something from like the bushes. It's like, wait.
Yeah, it's almost like the tingle on his neck was unnecessary.
Yeah, because like or like it's not like because I would first interpret that like Slenderman is like right behind him, like kind of giving him like the hackles on the back of his neck kind of thing, right? Like the hairs on the back of his neck suddenly prick up as they kind of get a preternatural sense that there's something behind him. But in this, it seems like it's more just like it's like that's where it should be, or that it like there's something physically there that's like passing by his neck, so that it kind of like feels it. But the way it is, it's almost like it seems like he's just like it's that spidey sense he has.
Or that action of like is basically him teleporting past him. Like he teleported a little too close and he felt him a little bit.
Yeah, he like because like Slenderman like sometimes like he teleports, but maybe the way he teleports is he goes just super fast, like the Stillwood King, and so like he just like brushes past behind Jeff and hides in that bush, or
totally.
hides or goes next to that bush or whatever where the rat is.
Either way, I rewrote this.
Okay, cool.
So Jeff screamed at the top of his lungs in hope of some kind of response. Period. He started to walk again. He was in. Wait, what?
Did you not
Here's
fix
my
it?
correction.
Did
I not fix it? Wait. All I did was get rid of the as. Wait.
Oh no.
Where's the? Wait. There's the tingle.
There's the tingle. Oh, I'd like me to make a map.
Oh, okay. I see what I did.
Okay.
I should have clarified this. Okay. He started to walk again. He was answered abruptly as he felt the slightest tingle on his neck. So the answer happens right after it says abruptly, as it should. It's just also after the walking, because that's how it works. He starts walking, and then he's answered. The answer is the tingle.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was confused there.
That creepy middle-aged man in a fairy suit behind him, trying to make maps of the forest. Yeah.
Yes.
The tingle.
So
gotcha.
I'm the gamer one. I should be making the video game things.
Well, maybe if you didn't drop the ball. No, I'm kidding.
Anyways, moving on. I want to finish my freaking grammar stuff.
Yes, please.
Jeff managed to slice what seemed to be an arm. In almost an instant, the limb quickly grew back into place. Wait, so I got to mention the periods because that's a lot of the problems here. Jeff managed to slice what seemed to be an arm. Period. In almost an instant, the limb quickly grew back into place. Period. What had just happened astonished Jeff. Period. The layout of it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
So the way that I would change it is mainly the astonished part is what I found most of a problem with. What had just happened astonished Jeff. You could just go, the limb quickly grew back into place, comma, astonishing Jeff.
Yep.
You just read what happened, so it doesn't need to the next line doesn't need to say what just happened, in my opinion. It just needs to, you say the action that happened, and then you say Jeff's response, which is his astonishment. You don't have to refer back to what you just read.
I wish I'm just not replying because I agree. I was nodding. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Those always pick up on audio recordings.
I know. Yeah. If only we were a visual aid.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever the being that had stalked him in the woods before was referred to as the Slenderman. So the wording of that's kind of weird. This is what he says to himself after he reads the note saying that the Slenderman's in the woods. But it could just be fixed with just putting a was in there. So instead of whatever the being that had stalked him in the woods, it would be whatever the being was that stalked him in the woods.
Okay.
Was referred to as a Slenderman. It just seems a little clearer, a little cleaner rather. This one's just a quick grammar thing. Well, all these are, but this one's just spelling. I've taken worse beatings for my father's belt than you are weak twig arms. Because it's you apostrophe R. Your.
Did Jeff just caveman it a bit?
Did I?
No, did Jeff do that? Was that Jeff?
I mean, it's not spelled UR, but it's the contraction of UR. It's YOU apostrophe RE.
Okay.
When it's supposed to be your. YOUR.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I get you.
Your weak twig arms is what he's trying to say. You are.
It's your.
Yeah. It's the worst. Jeff threw the lighter out in front of him as he attempted to find his knife that lay close to him. Before he could make another movement, Slenderman appeared before him. So why throw it? You need to keep it to see. You're in the dark. You're just like, go lighter, find my knife.
Maybe it's over there. Damn it, it's not. I gotta go pick that up now and throw it somewhere else.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
So that could just be corrected with Jeff held the lighter out in front of him. Next one. I'm almost done, I swear.
No, I don't believe you.
Oh, okay, fair. Jeff's grip on the lighter became loose, his blood had caused friction between it and his hand, period. The small blaze dropped toward...
Sorry, continue. Sorry, continue.
Okay. The small blaze dropped toward the ground. Period. Intense flames scorched as the lighter hit the ground. Period. Both adversaries fled away from the scene. Period. Before either of them could put distance between themselves and the flame, comma, it was ignited by the alcohol that stole the ground. So, first off, do you want to mention this friction thing? I don't understand.
This might be a nitpick. I didn't even put it in my notes, but it came up, so I was like, "Fuck it, I'll bring it up." I feel like it should be like the lack of friction, because I'm pretty sure friction is like the resistance you have when rubbing things together.
Uh-huh.
So that's how you get grip, is through friction. But if you don't have friction, you don't have grip.
But,
So yeah, that's the worst word to use because it's the complete opposite of what
Yeah.
you want.
but
Yep,
blood makes things sticky.
it does. But apparently, but in this case, it's supposed to make it slippery.
Yeah, because it falls. So at first when I was taking this note, I was gonna make a joke about like asking if Jeff's blood is so filled with alcohol that it could spark the fire from the lighter, and all that, because it slipped out of his hand. Then all of a sudden there's a freaking forest fire. But it's because at
buddy,
the very
I've-
end it says that there's alcohol on the ground.
Yeah,
But it kind of needs to lead with that because otherwise, I'm like, why is this lighting up? Why is this catching fire so much? And I had to keep reading to find out why.
well, damn it, damn it, gamer! It's about the journey, not the destination. Wait, the alcohol's at the destination, not the. Oh fuck!
Damn right. Either way, here's my rewrite.
Okay.
Jeff's grip on the lighter became loose. His blood had caused a word other than friction between it and his hand. Small blaze fell to the ground, comma, and quickly lit the alcohol-soaked ground, comma, causing a small blaze to start. Period. Both adversaries fled away from the flame.
Bam, done.
Yes.
Also, I think lack of friction, like literally just having lack of friction,
Yeah. Or caused the lighter become slippery and fall from his hand.
that works too. Yep.
Okay, my last grammar in yellow. Jeff fought back, ignoring the orange and red covering his environment. Period. The tall monster grabbed at Jeff. Period. Jeff grabbed his knife and jumped. Period. So tiny sentences. I'm getting annoyed by them, but it's fine. My problem with this is he never located his knife first.
I have that in my actual thoughts.
Uh-huh.
Wait, hang on. Where is it? I have like a little bit here. Where is that? Here we go. Yeah, Jeff's knife was slashing through his suit as well as his pale skin. Slenderman began teleporting towards the forest. This is even before he's in the woods and the fire happens. This is like after the great, like right before Slenderman makes his exit to the.
Yeah,
to the
you're way before me.
I know, because at that point I was like, wait, guys, didn't Jeff throw his knife at Slenderman earlier? Like to cut
Oh yeah,
off his
I have
arm?
a note on that too.
How did he get it back? We don't get that detail.
Yeah, but in this one, when the fire happened because he was pulling out his lighter to try to find his knife. Then the fire happens, he never located his knife.
Yes.
But all of a sudden,
He has
he's
a
jumping
knife.
and grabbing it.
Well, that's Jeff's
So-
secret. He always has a knife.
Apparently. Either way, it could be... I rewrote it this way. Jeff fought back, ignoring the orange and red covering his environment. The tall monster tried to grab Jeff, period. The fire all around them illuminating the area, Jeff spotted his knife and jumped for it.
But would he have that knife there? Because he didn't have it when he left the cemetery. Like he didn't pick it up from where he threw it and
But listen.
cut off the Slenderman's arm.
After this point, he was slashing at Slenderman for a while in the forest.
Ergo,
So
he
I'm
has
taking
some
the
kind of-
assumption that he has the knife with him here.
Okay,
Either
so
way,
compromise here.
I'm saying where
Fine,
he was in
fine.
the forest slashing at Slenderman, and then I forget what happened, but I think he was slammed against a tree or something, and he lost the knife. So then, because he lost the knife, he needs to find it again.
Okay.
Whether or not he had it beforehand because of bullshit, whatever. In the story, it said he had it. So we're covering these one section at a time.
That's fair. Okay, fine.
Mm-hmm. That is it for the grammar and yellow. You can move on.
Okay, good.
I only
that was
had
more
18 of them.
to be fair, that was more of an actual thought than the grammar.
Well, no, because the words had to be changed.
I guess so. Yeah, but it was
It
in that
doesn't
case,
say that he located it or how
in
he
that case,
located it.
in that case, it was a nice segue to the actual thoughts because it was
There you go.
kind of also an actual thought. So on to actual thoughts, guys. It only took us like less than an hour to get through grammar requisitions.
That's fine.
All right, so starting with this part here. She knew nothing of its origin or meaning, so she just assumed So she just assumed this was some kind of gang symbol or something of the sort. Making her way into the forest, she recalled the fun time she had as kids, and this was in regards to the X, the circle with the X in it that's on the tree that she sees.
The operator symbol. We all know that.
Yeah, Operation Umbrella. Although honestly, if I didn't know anything about Slenderman at all, and I had seen that on a tree, I would have figured that was some kind of a tree tag,
Yeah.
like forestry kind of symbol kind of thing, like marking the trees that won't get cut down kind of thing. But that's also because I live near forests that occasionally get like some trees chopped off and stuff.
So don't they mark the ones that they're gonna cut down? Because if they mark the ones that get cut down, then they're permanently marked.
Sorry, that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But just given how like mystified she seems by this mark, it's like it doesn't seem anything special. I mean, maybe if the story had some more details of how it was marked, like she does say gang mark, so I'm automatically assuming that it's spray painted on. But again, I refer to you back to the forestry mark, which is also usually done in spray in like fluorescent spray paint.
Yeah.
But I digress. If it was carved maybe in the tree, it might give a little bit more malice and weight to the situation she's about to get into.
For some reason, when I read it, I assumed it was carved, even though it didn't say carved.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that's why it didn't affect me as much.
I also half expected it to be a page, like a piece of paper.
Yeah.
Kind of like how we see a sign that comes up, which I'm going to bring up shortly. Not for a couple of thoughts, but I do have a thought on that one as well. But yeah, my first go-to, if I didn't know anything about Slenderman, I would immediately think that was just a forest tag. I wouldn't have thought anything weird about it. It was just kind of odd to me. The next one here, he dragged his feet up the wet cement as he entered what he had called his home for years. So, guys, I know that it's meant to say that, like it's raining right now, so like there's rain covering the pavement, so that's what's wet. But on the context, like based on context from earlier in the story, that's what's actually going on. But I can't help but visualize Jeff just skulking through some actual wet paint or sorry, not wet paint, wet cement.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like just like clomping through wet cement up to his house. That's like just like a half, like maybe like they're doing some like gentrification in the neighborhood or something like that. So like the cement on the street is the sidewalk is wet cement. Yeah, I had just like that visual just kept popping up when it said wet cement, even though I know, guys, it's because of the rain on the pavement.
Yeah, I think I had that visual as well, so you're good.
All right, cool. Moving on to the next one here. A sudden urge had hit him. He stood in the room, gazing out at the forest beyond his house. Jeff checked his pockets, cigarettes, a lighter, and of course his knife. Jeff knew that something wasn't right. The feeling he got was a mix of the urge to kill again and something far different than what he had ever felt before. He stormed out of his house into the wet, cold night. I like how Jeff has this preternatural pasta sense, where he can sense other like-minded creepypasta icons in his vicinity. It might also just be like the Slenderman's like presence, like two predators can sense each other. It's also a good and easy plot device to get characters pulled into a fight / plot. It's like, again, Jeff having the force kind of thing. It's like, I sense a disturbance in the force, in the creepy force.
Or it's the fact that you can, like, Slenderman's whole thing is like when you're looking at him, it does like the weird static thing, right?
Oh,
so
maybe
he's basically looking at him even though he didn't know he was there.
Yeah, exactly. Like he because his house is near the woods that all this is going on. So like he looked out the window and Slenderman was just staring through the window kind of thing from the woods.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, yeah. So basically he's calling him like a trap. Like some kind of a Venus flytrap or like some kind of a siren. All right, on to the next one here. This is the rat scare. Where like he freaks out and like he goes to like stab at the bush and then it turns out to just be the rat and he's like, God damn rat. Did this story really just give us a rat scare similar to the cat scare in movies?
Yep.
And related to this, I do like the way this story starts in that similar vein that I've said in previous Jeffuary stories. where it reminds me of the setups and scenes of a slasher flick. Like this feels, the entire time I'm reading the story, I was getting some heavy Freddy versus Jason vibes. Just in terms of like the plot beats of like, we get the kill scenes from both, or we get the kill scene from at least one of the characters. We get the introduction of the other, and then we get the inciting, like what pulls them together kind of thing, and then they brawl kind of stuff. It's pretty simple, it's pretty standard, but it's effective when it's used.
Mhm.
Then my next one was about the noise that drowned Jeff slowly became absent, and that hurt him apparently. But we fixed that in grammar acquisition.
Yeah.
This part. So this one, it's just kind of another instance of like some details I feel like could be added to build off of the scene. So Jeff managed to slice what seemed to be an arm. In almost an instant, the limb quickly grew back in place. What had just happened astonished Jeff. He felt almost as if the man was a tall tree, and his tendrils simply branches. Jeff fled from the forest, knowing that there was no way he would be able to fight whatever his adversary truly was in what seemed to be its home territory. So that kind of like spot here where it's like where he's comparing Slenderman to a tree, like the trees around him, and then he just flees the forest. That's fine, but I do feel that there could be sort of a continued elaboration on Jeff's revelation of like, this is Slenderman's home turf, where Slenderman is like an entity of the forest and is harboring power for it. Like maybe even like he's describing him like a tree, and just like all the other gnarled trees around me. Fuck, I need to get out of here. This is clearly his home turf. And then cut to him fleeing out of the forest.
Mm-hmm.
Just a few, like a sentence or two extra, just to hammer home the familiarity and the advantage Slenderman has while in the woods, and the reason why Jeff bailed so quickly. And then here's my note on that sign that Jeff finds when he leaves the forest. So this is what the sign says: "Do not enter these woods at night. A tall man has been spotted in the area recently. Some call him the Slender Man. Beware and enter at your own risk. Signed, the Supernatural Task Force."
Yeah, pretty much.
That's straight up like let's be honest, guys. That's something the SNTF would definitely put on somewhere.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, there's just like it's the only conceivable, like otherwise it's like almost it's laughably silly how that sign is there.
Yeah, 'cause that sign's basically there just to tell Jeff what Slenderman's name is.
Yeah, basically.
But why?
Exactly. Like it's just like why
he
is
never
that
uses that information.
No, he's just like, oh, so this guy's named Slenderman. All right, well, I'm going to use Slendy. I'm going to call him Slendy now.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, couldn't even give him like at least with like some other ones where they know like Everyman Hybrid, the Slender vlog, Habit, the other like entity that's possessing I can't remember the guy's name. Anyways, the kid, the one dude that's in there that with all the knives and stuff. Strangely enough, very similar, a very very similar Jeff analog, kind of, I guess. He doesn't have we don't have Slenderman as the name. He calls him Stick in the Mud. Like he gives him like kind of an insulting sort of nickname.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it would have been interesting if we did not get Slenderman's name like from Jeff. Like we didn't give Slenderman's name to Jeff, and he just came up with his own term for him, kind of thing. Yeah. Otherwise, yeah. Like humorously, like I think that it'd be funny if, like, the Supernatural Task Force just like, oh, we're just gonna put up a warning sign here. There's clearly been some disappearances in this forest, so it's definitely the Slender Man. We're gonna watch this endangered species of creepypasta icon.
He is an endangered species at this point.
Yeah. And then we enter the fight scene at the like in the cemetery. So I'm gonna read this paragraph because it just accentuates my point here.
Okay.
He was not left there for long before he was seized by his assailant and thrown against the grave. The stone exploded on impact with Jeff. Standing up once again, Jeff's eyes focused on the name of the grave. As his eyes crossed the name on the granite, his black eyes widened. The words written across the gray slab were recognized by Jeff in an instant. It read out his brother's name. Something was coursing through Jeff. Rage filled him within an instant, and he lashed out at Slenderman at extreme speeds. So apparently, on top of being Jeffuary and Slender Month, this is Anime Rigor Mortis episode? Or this is a Anime Rigor Mortis episode?
Why?
Because at this point in the combat narrative, we're getting very anime levels of combat. Maybe not like as extreme as like say Super Saiyan stuff, but like definitely like ninjutsu and like Naruto kind of stuff. Like I'm half expecting Jeff to just start using jutsus and ki blasts or something.
He did basically go Super Saiyan right there.
Yeah, he did basically go Super Saiyan. He was also like with regards to like I said earlier with the knife that he's missing at this point because he threw it like a kunai to cut off Slenderman's arm, and then suddenly he has it again. So he used shadow clone knife jutsu to create a new knife.
Or it's just Darth Jeff, and he just uses the Force to pull it back to him.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Also, Slenderman is using instant transmission to teleport around. Also,
it's just a ninja battle now.
Well, yeah, no, it's even when like he goes rushing, like when Slenderman goes like teleporting like swiftly like through the forest, and Jeff starts chasing through it. I was literally like seeing it like a Naruto like combat scene where they're running through the woods. So he's just like speed. He's Naruto running
back and everything.
Yeah, he's just Naruto running like through the trees, like hopping like from trunk to trunk.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, 100%. But like that's the scene that like is kind of generated here in an instant, and it's like I love it, but it's also kind of problematic with regards to the story because like, it is exciting, but it does render this story very silly.
Fortunately, I did not view it that way.
Okay, well that's good.
I did not see it as a silly anime.
Well,
however, if you do, I can see how that would ruin it.
I mean, I can. It's funny because like I don't think it ruined it. It just kind of like, all right, this isn't scary anymore. We're not trying to be scary here at all. This is just kind of like a thriller pasta or like an action pasta at this point. Which I'm fine with, because again, like that's it. Also, if you think about it, Freddy, like in the same vein, like Freddy versus Jason, the final fight with Jason and Freddy was very much like this, like kind of actiony, where like Freddy was in the real world,
jumping from trees.
Freddy was using well, I think actually it was when Jeff and Freddy were in the dream world, and Freddy had
Jeff
like full control. Sorry, when Freddy versus Jason, when Freddy and Jason are in the dream world, and Freddy has the home field advantage. He's like grabbing Jason like a fucking like pinball machine and just like spinning him around with using like the force basically, and like pinballing him through this like warehouse.
Oh jeez.
And then like in the actual like real world, the waking world, when Freddy gets sent into the real world, like Jason uses like his machete and like pops a couple of like air tanks and like basically just like fires them like torpedoes at Freddy. So it gets pretty wild, and like this is kind of what the story is kind of emulating, maybe unintentionally, but it's generating that
maybe they just watched Freddy vs. Jason.
You know what? I could buy that, and honestly, it does. Like there is a place for those kind of like stories because it's not scary. It's kind of more of like a campy action creepypasta than anything. Like taking these creepypasta entities, introducing them in a spooky way, and then just going full hog like in the action sequence, because neither of them are afraid of each other. They're just like two predators fighting each other. It's like watching two lions fight over a gazelle.
Yeah, there's no way for it to be scary because there's no vulnerable character that we are rooting for, or rooting for the monster to kill them or something.
Exactly. Yeah. In this point, it's more of a kaiju fight. It's like let them fight as Godzilla, as Jeff Zilla and the Slender Dan or Slender or King Slenderman fight each other. But I digress. Moving on to my next part, which also has the SNTF, oddly enough, as an explanation. Before either of them could put distance between themselves and the flame, it was ignited by the alcohol that soiled the ground. In a matter of seconds, the forest was burning from the ground up. Jesus! Apparently, that is a really dry forest. Oh, wait, it's been raining this entire time. So,
that's a good point.
First off, I don't think alcohol would do this. So is the SNTF just like have they just been in the background dousing the woods with gasoline to like like maybe that's why they set up the sign as a warning to keep people out of the forest, because they were going to do a controlled burn to get rid of to get rid of the that pesky Slenderman.
Or to maybe not to kill them, but to route them, like herd them into like some sort of a
preserve.
Yeah.
All right, we need to get this Slenderman specimen Creepypasta Park, or back to Creepy Park.
Hmm.
It's just like it's a Jurassic Park style like creepypasta world.
I see what you're doing.
My, it's like, my dear, like, it's like, but it's like welcome to Creepy Park.
In the background, you just hear someone go, "Oh God!"
or just like that static sound from the Slender video game.
Mhm.
But yeah, so it's like just how quickly that forest fire started.
Yeah, I had a note
like,
on that as well. I think.
yeah. What do you want to bring up
Mhm.
now? Because I'm one story. I'm basically entering the last page of the story, which is like one
Yeah,
one
my note
one act
is
kind of entirely. So sorry.
my note is pretty quick. It's just the fact that it's it says in a matter of seconds the forest was burning from the ground up, and I'm like, sure, in a matter of 600 seconds, maybe. Like
Yeah.
it wouldn't catch that fast.
I feel like in a matter of moments, like is vague enough that it would work as well. But like, yeah, otherwise, that was way too fast. That escalated far too quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's the secret. It's been raining alcohol.
Oh no, you know what it is? It's so from that scene from Sherlock Holmes when it's revealed that Moriarty had like a device that was like pouring down this like flammable liquid down over the doorway. So it looked like rain, like the rest of the rain, but it was actually like a flammable liquid. So when the guy went past it, he got all covered in it. He wouldn't tell that it was like not just rain. And then when he went to like use like a pyroblast in the hall, like to try, or when he went to use his gun to kill like the mastermind, he ended up getting like ignited himself and caught on fire.
Mhm.
And then it's revealed at the end of the movie. Again, spoilers for Sherlock Holmes, the Robert Downey Jr. movie. But yeah, there's a scene where like there's like a whole like kind of setup so that this guy will like catch fire and then jump out the window and die.
Wow.
And so yeah, basically the SNTF has a drone over top the forest where they're just dousing it in this chemical along with the rain.
Mhm.
Again, for the controlled burn and the what do you say, not herding, the or like not the
I said hurting.
yeah, basically to
Hurting them into a trap.
herd the Slenderman into containment. I
Mhm.
mean, we already have Jeff versus Slenderman. We might as well throw in the SNTF for the SCP.
Hmm.
Just yeah, in seconds. I was like, wow. I mean, maybe if the forest was super dry, but we've already established it's been raining this entire time. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't even clue into that part. So
I
it would take a very long time to catch.
yeah,
Like
well,
longer than the Zippo has fuel, probably.
exactly, yeah, or it just wouldn't happen at all because if it's been raining for like the whole evening, that forest is well and truly soaked.
Okay, but if the Zippo
Um,
fell into the spilled alcohol, it would at least do an alcohol fire.
But yeah, it wouldn't. But it wouldn't. It would burn out rather quickly.
Yeah, it wouldn't go very far.
Mhm.
But yeah, like I could see, like again, just to kind of keep hampering on this, I guess. Dry. Oh yeah, when I was reading this, I was my first like it's like, oh man, that must be a really dry forest. Wait, it's been raining this entire time, based on the first sentence, basically of the story. So
Yeah, but not in the forest.
no, actually, while Jeff was walking through the forest, initially, like
Yeah.
it did mention that there was cold rain on his back. coming
Yeah,
down the
true.
ground. So yeah, no, it's been raining still. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was also going to like when it came to that like his illuminating teleport, I was going to like I wanted to add like as a moonbeam like faded behind Jeff, like he was Slenderman was illuminated. It was like, but wait, it's still raining, so no, that there's no illumination that way. It's just he's coming to light.
There still could be.
I guess
Because
it
it's
could,
raining
yeah.
directly above you, but that doesn't mean over there where the moon is that there has to be clouds there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there could have been a gap in the clouds,
Mhm.
that like shines some moonlight behind Jeff, and then that's how like Slenderman illuminated in. But that was just me being like extra fancy and elaborative on that scene.
Sounds like it's basically how the Shadow Ninjas work in Origami. Like Shadow Ninja game I was playing a little while ago. Like you can
Okay.
only teleport from darkness to darkness.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
basically like a shadow step.
Yeah, it's cool.
Um,
Please continue.
Okay, so I'll move on to my last actual thought here before I'm ready to go with final thoughts, and then obviously you guys have to have to speak your pieces.
Yep, I will hurry because we've been at this for a while.
It's fine. So yeah, just that whole paragraph of the news sequence, and then we're introduced to Mark and Julia, and then they go and they decide to go to the woods for shits and giggles, to see if they can help find Sarah or the missing person or something. And then they stumble upon a horribly burned form, and they're just treating it like it's a homeless guy. And then he gets up, and he's horribly burned. His hair is black and singed. That's not how fire works on hair. Hair would be
and the guy's like,
to go.
Sir, are you okay?
Yeah. It's like, no, don't go near him. What if he's some weird killer or something? It's like, really? That's this is a burn victim who survived a forest fire. That should not be your fucking comment. You deserve to die. Also, yeah, the way his hair is, it should have completely been burned off if he was engulfed by the flames.
Yeah.
He should be completely bald, Jeff the Killer. And then he gets up and knifes both of them and tells them to go to sleep. So yeah, this last page was a tad forced and rushed to me. I understand that Mark and Julia are the epilogue kill scene to show that the loser killer survived, a la Freddy versus Jason, where Jason wins technically, but Freddy is still alive, kind of, as he winks to the audience and has a Looney Tunes sort of ending. Literally how that movie ends, folks.
That's all, folks.
Or how in Alien versus Predator, the alien wins and kills the predator, but then they both get nuked. So it's that sort of that kind of it's kind of it's sort of a non-committal who would win confrontation that we see time and time again in slasher films and horror movies when they pit two horror icons together. They don't want to necessarily kill the loser, so they kind of have this end scene gotcha moment.
And or they're doing it Jason might win the battle, but that doesn't mean he won the war.
Exactly, yeah. The war continues on because war never changes. Thank you.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's not my problem here. I'm just pointing it out because it's also a problem. I'm poking fun at the issue of that trope. But my issue with this story and this last page of content that we get is that it's lacking in terms of its proper setup. It feels like the author is racing to finish this when you should take your time and fully flesh out this last page, so that because it seemed like a lot of suddenly there's a lot more being skimmed here just to get to the end, Zinger, where Jeff's still alive and he kills these two people.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's just that's really just my final note on my actual thoughts on this. It's just that ending, it didn't nail the landing. It kind of stumbled and crashed a little bit by the end, with the writing anyway. So that's my actual thoughts. Mikey, D stands for evil. I hand you the torch to light the fire, this forest fire.
All right. So my first thought is in regard to the transitions. So at the very beginning, my own headcanon basically said that there's current Sarah and then past Sarah. And
because Sarah talking about what happened the night before or the day before.
Well, yeah, because it goes in the very first paragraph ends with what had happened to her last night was a mystery. And then the next paragraph begins with she thought back to the bar. So from that point on, I'm thinking, okay, well, she's thinking about what happened in last night.
This is a flashback now.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's a good kind of question about this. Did she get did she get so it's just that she got really drunk or something, or roofied or something, and she's stumbling home? What happened?
Yeah.
I don't think it says what happened last night.
No, it just says that she went to the bar to have some fun, and then she's now stumbling home alone. No, her friends aren't there, and she's trying to get home as quickly as possible. It's what? Did she get attacked? But did her friends? Maybe her friends and her got attacked by Jeff, and she's the only one that survived. But it's not mentioned at all. Like it's almost like
Yeah.
we're missing part of that.
Oh,
it's almost like we're missing part
okay.
of that.
Because when it switches over to Jeff, it's saying like he just finished his daily rounds.
Yeah, and he's drunk and he's drinking as well. So like,
yeah, he was probably like at the bar and
And-
killed her friends.
and then she like stumbled away, and he just like didn't notice her that she like stumbled away and stuff.
But wait, no, she said that what happened yesterday was a problem, not today.
Yeah.
No, but no, that's the thing though. What time? Because it's what's the time period? It's because she might be. It might be kind of the thing where like she is referencing the night like the night before, i.e., a few hours ago. Because now it's late morning, or it's like super early. Sorry, I mean early morning. I mean it's super early morning. But
You're to be that guy.
I'm just saying, I'm trying to rationalize what's going on here.
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't work.
Well, because then it cuts to like Jeff's moment where it's like 4 a.m.
Yeah, but that's still technically night.
No, that's
Night ends when the sun comes up.
No, that's still early morning. Like it's pre-dawn. That's technically still early morning. Like
AM PM is night morning.
Yeah.
But the way that I view things is night stops when I go to bed, regardless of when I go to bed. But realistically, yeah, that's probably what they're trying to say. It's just it's not very clearly said, so we don't know. Like when I was reading it the whole time until you brought this up just now, Cultist, I thought that there was like a day disconnect that we don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is happening in the same day, quote unquote.
So I just quickly Googled what's the difference between night and morning, and I got this like, is 3 a.m. night or morning? And then this is the answer: anything a.m. can be referred to as morning. Anything p.m. can be referred to as night. Generally, these will be broken up into morning a.m., afternoon p.m., evening p.m., and night p.m. People sometimes confuse the early a.m.s because it's still dark outside, but 2 a.m. is 2 in the morning, not the night.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is still so just again for trying to like kind of bring light to this. I feel like this is all happening over the course of a night/morning.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. It's just poorly worded, so it's confusing.
Yeah. And it wasn't brought to my attention until you brought that up. Thank you, Mike. You've ruined the beginning of the story for me.
Thanks. Well, anyway, so with my head canon, I was going with.
You were still going to say a thing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So basically, this first section where she talking about her and Slenderman, that's what happened last night, and then I was expecting at the end for her to come back and be like, "Hey, I'm still alive" and stuff. Because I mean, she doesn't outright die.
She just gets whisked away by Slenderman.
Yeah. So that was my thought process when I got to there, and then when it actually came to the transition from Jeff to Mark and Julia.
Yeah.
And it's saying that she was missing. I'm like, what the heck?
I kind of feel like you could have gotten rid of Mark and Julia entirely, like not have to introduce two new victims. Have Sarah like just wandering like she's like wandering through town like in a daze, passes a TV passes some TVs going off on a store window to see the news report. As she's walking past the burned out forest, she's like, "Oh, that's where I was last night, I think. Maybe." And then Jeff comes up and is like, "Surprise!" And then like that's like you think she's the final girl, and then she's the final girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we don't have to introduce a whole new character cast of victims.
Yeah.
I think that would have actually made the story stronger.
Yeah.
Because it gives more reason for the whole intro Sarah thing to be a thing as well.
Yeah.
When she comes back.
I got to ask Gamer, did you think I wrote this story because of that character?
Well, I mean, of course, but it's fine.
Like I as soon as I read that, I was like, "Oh fuck."
There's a Sarah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And for the audience, who doesn't know anything, like who doesn't know, that's
wow! How dare you insult our audience?
For the audience who's not in the know, I tend to write Sarahs into creepy stories I write. So like it's just kind of it's an in-joke gag of like me adding having a Sarah who works at a diner.
Well, it's become an in-joke because you named so many characters Sarah not as a joke.
Yeah, well, as a because I got lazy when I was doing tabletop games like years ago.
Yeah.
So I just kept introducing, like I just kept giving you guys the same NPC name over and over again.
Basically.
So
All right. Yeah. So, yeah, that was my issue with the transitions and such.
okay,
And of course, we've already touched on the fact that it needs to be broken up so that you know it's a transition.
yeah, like horizontal, like divider line would help.
All right.
Or like
some
cross from town, like or something,
Yeah,
even just
some kind of
words saying that it's in a different location now.
Yeah, a transitional sentence or an interlude of some kind.
Yeah.
All right. My next actual thought here. We have a quote. After he had seen what hid in the bush, he continued his midnight stroll. Previously,
It was 4 a.m.
no, it was
Oh.
5:06 in the morning,
Oh,
and he took another swig of his alcohol.
oh, okay. So, yeah, it's like it should be pre-dawn.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Pre-dawn.
midnight stroll is just like a blanket term to say going for a walk when it's
still
really
not
dark
good.
out.
It's still not like no. I mean,
That's like saying going for a Sunday drive, but it's not Sunday. That's the way I'm seeing it.
wait. People refer to like drives as Sunday drives when it's not Sunday.
I'm sure some people do. Like going for a Sunday drive is just driving around for the sake of it. Like just
Fair.
At least that's what I've heard.
That's fair. To Mikey's defense, though, I think it should be. Like, I feel it would be stronger if it was just like his pre-dawn stroll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've already talked about the fire, and that seems to be it.
Okay. Gamer.
Alrighty then. Jeff checked his pockets, cigarettes, lighter, and of course his knife. So at this point, when I read this, I'm like, he only has a pocket knife? It seems ill-prepared for Slenderman because it's in his pocket.
He's also like I like how this author has hampered Jeff's abilities by making him drunk.
Yeah.
By saucing him before he goes up against the Slenderman. Like that seems like
And he smokes cigarettes, so he doesn't. So his lungs are shit too.
Yeah, just like super ill prepared against Slenderman, and yet he holds his own. It's like maybe it's like, oh man, Jeff is so goddamn edgy and awesome. I gotta I gotta tone him down just to put him on the level of Slenderman.
Oh yeah. I think this is more along the lines of this is like the fat Elvis version of Jeff.
Yeah, the drunk Jeff. No, slowly Jeff.
Yeah, exactly. This is slowly Jeff.
God, okay, I need like on our Discord, like quickly out of the thing, I need to like make that slow mode chat channel and just call it slowly Jeff. There's apparently on Discord you can make a slow zone chat where like it basically delays comments that you put in that chat discussion by a certain amount of time based on how you've like set it up.
Like text?
Yeah, like when you type in a message, the Discord server will hold off on it for a certain amount of time based on what you've. They're called slow zones.
Why?
It's called slow mode. I have no idea, but it's like a trending thing for Discord chats.
Why would you bother?
I just because of like the slowly Jeff for us anyway. I don't know.
I get it, but I mean, people in general. Why would you bother?
I don't know, man. It's the internet, the insanity of the internet.
The only time where I could see that could be interesting is like if a bunch of people are trying to like tell a story at the same time and it all comes in at different times.
Yeah,
something like that. But just for general chat, it's like why? Anyways,
but
we need to get through the story.
Yes, hurry up. Sorry.
Oh, I read that about the pocket knife. I'm like, okay, he seems ill prepared. And so later on, he does say swiftly he pulled his shining blade from his coat pocket. Although that should be hoodie pocket now that I think about it. Either way. So at this point, I'm like, okay, so it's in his front hoodie pocket. Okay, but still, it couldn't be bigger than a steak knife if he wants to keep it concealed. It's not.
Which, to be fair, is Jeff's like tool of choice. Is usually a kitchen.
Steak knife.
Kitchen knife.
A steak knife is what I said.
I know a steak knife is a kitchen knife. It's a knife in a kitchen.
How your biggest knife in your kitchen? Compare that to the knife you would use to cut chicken that you're eating.
It might be like a few inches bigger.
Are you fucking kidding me? Oh my god, I'm looking this up. I have to show you pictures because you're not gonna understand.
No, I understand. I understand.
You don't.
Yeah.
Oh, you really don't.
You're a piece of shit. That's you talking to me, not me. I'm not actually saying that to you.
Can't fucking believe you.
No, I know what a kitchen knife is. It's the same. I understand what it is.
Do you? Do you?
I also think like you could probably keep one of those in your hoodie like front pocket. It's inadvisable because it's fucking huge and sharp.
The blade itself is bigger than the pocket.
No, not if it's like depending. No, okay, no. Like I have some upstairs that I'm sure I could fit in a hood pocket in one of those like front hoodie. It's the one I'm thinking of the one like
Posting it.
What?
Posting a picture.
Okay. No, I know what you're. I know what you're referencing.
His knife is the top knife.
Okay, that's fine. That's
The
fine.
knife that would fit in his pocket is probably the one that says H. If the whole thing would sit in the pocket and hide.
That or again, like are you thinking that like there's a divider between the two sides of that pocket?
No.
Okay, because like that's what I was thinking. Like you thought, like, because like if it's like that front pocket, like that you can like put your hands through and you can touch your fingers on either side. Like I could see that top knife going into one of those.
I don't know, man. And having the entire blade and handle inside?
I'm not saying it's
I'm wearing
smart.
a hoodie right now, and the difference between my two
Go to your
hands
kitchen right now.
at either side, I can't. I have a zipper hoodie on right now. But either
Damn
way,
it.
the hoodie, the pocket from side to side is about a foot. So if the
Okay.
entire blade is more than a foot, it's going to stick out the side.
All right.
And your hand is like a little bit less than half a foot, so he's only going to have a blade that's around half a foot long instead of his stereotypical giant kitchen knife. That's all I'm saying.
All right, fair enough. I think this is an agree to disagree because I feel like Jeff would regardless of its size. I feel like he would carry it in that pocket. The kitchen.
If he
knife.
doesn't care about it being concealed, yes.
Yeah, or even like he could conceal it. It just takes a little bit more effort to conceal
Not
it.
if it's bigger than the whole pocket.
It's not that big. They're not that big. I know.
After this recording, I'm putting on my other hoodie and I'm going to find the biggest knife in this house. And I'm going to run over to your house. And
kill you.
I'm not going to say what's going to happen after that.
All right.
Okay.
Next
Either
time
way.
on MythBusters.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay. Either way, moving on.
Yes.
Next quote. A thought blew into his mind, followed by a bullet.
What? Sorry. Continue.
That's just a joke. A thought blew into his mind, followed by a bullet. Because it says a thought blew into his mind, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, okay. A thought blew. Okay, I was like, I thought you said like I thought blew in his mind. I was like, what the fuck is that
Okay,
sentence?
if the recording's not coming through, fine, I'll say it again. A thought blew into his mind, followed by a bullet.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
It's
yeah,
like,
well,
I shot him, he died. Instead of I shot him a glance.
I shot him. Bang. A glance. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. That's one of those. The last piece of his family was only a few feet away, and it beckoned him. So I didn't even know what that meant. The last piece of his family. That sounds like there's someone from his family that's alive in the graveyard.
No.
And it's not the last piece of his family because his I don't understand.
I think it's worded weirdly, so that I think that's what's causing you guff about it. I feel like the last shreds of his family are there would be better, like the shreds because
the remains of his family.
Yeah, the last remains. Like I think that would be also preferable because that's what it's trying to say is like the.
Gotcha. Yeah, the way it's worded, it's almost like there's someone from his family that's still alive in there.
Yeah.
Like the last piece of his family that he has to kill so they're all gone, you know? Either way. He approached a grave. Jeff graced it with the rotten odor of death, his jacket being covered in the blood and remains of his victims. Pretty sure all that blood and remains would be washed off by now. It's been pouring rain.
Yeah. At the very
With
least,
the blood on the knife, too.
I mean, the blood, the stains would probably not go away necessarily, but like
It was his blood and remains.
Yeah, the remains
still,
would
chunks of goo on them.
Yeah, that stuff would remain, but like that like
it would remain.
uh-huh.
Remains wouldn't remain. Anyways, please go.
Oh, man.
Yes,
You killed me with that joke. It was not the knife in my stomach; it was the joke.
Mm-hmm.
I did the deed.
Next quote. He continued to trot. Something felt a bit odd. The crunching of leaves seemed a bit too loud to account for only one person. Jeff felt as if something was lurking beyond his line of sight. Does Slenderman impact the ground, or does he just float and teleport?
He does occasionally talk. I mean, it varies. Like he can teleport. He can levitate, but I think most of the time he is standing on firm ground.
Okay, I don't know enough about the guy.
Yeah, it's up in the air. It's up in the air, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
Or not. Sorry, not up in the air. It's open to interpretation because he is kind of a varied fractaling, interpretive entity. So,
I'm sure in some of the like vlogs and stuff, you see him walking around and crunching.
yeah, like
Right,
some.
so next,
And,
go ahead.
and honestly, most of the reasons why like he's just seen like just standing and then teleporting is just there is actually there's a couple. Most of the time it's just because of like not budgetary constraints, but like limitations of the prop or of the character, because I mean like they can't see, like if you want to take it from like behind the scenes of like Slender vlogs, like the actor playing that character can't see really well through the mask. So like they generally tend to have them just stand and then they'll teleport them, like use a like have them like turn the camera off, then have them like pop somewhere else so they can do the teleporting sequence kind of thing. But there have been scenes in certain Slender vlogs where like they'll be like passing by like I remember in Dark Harvest, they're on an elevator going up several flights of a building, and you can see the build, like the different floors, and like you see Slenderman like standing there like for the first half of the floor, and then there's this like jerky transition where he's suddenly just like moving and he's like walking like a couple of steps towards the elevator before it vanishes. So yeah, there are instances where he's like touching physically the ground, but most of the time, just because of like how eldritchly he is, he moves in weird ways and unnaturally. So
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
So my next point is after hitting the bush to find the rat. As Jeff announced this, a quick rustling from a nearby bush could be heard. He slashed at it before the sound could come to a silence on its own. With his knife? Because, like, is he doing this with his knife or with his hand? Because it specifically says after this, or after the static attack, when he pulls out the knife. Although at this point he's just saying he slashed at it without saying that he first pulled out his knife.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because later on it says swiftly he pulled his shining blade from his coat pocket. Like that's
Unless-
the first time it's mentioned that he's pulling it out.
Like he slashes like it doesn't, like he slashes with his knife like the first time, puts the knife back, then then we get him unsheathing it properly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, otherwise it just looks like he's like using his hand to like cut through the bush.
I mean, it's fine if he's just like slapping the bush trying to get something to come out. Just say that, but
It doesn't say
it's
that.
just it's weird that the knife is used here, and then later on it's more dramatically used, saying like he's pulling his shining blade from his coat pocket. Meanwhile, It's not the first time he's done it, but it's being described as if it is the first time, probably.
Yeah.
All right. At that point, Jeff snapped. He broke free of the pain, drew his knife once more. How many times can he draw his knife without putting it away first? This is number 3 in the story.
He has multiple knives. He's using Shadow Clone Knife Nujitsu.
But he doesn't throw them away. Oh, he threw one of them away. But he doesn't throw most of them away.
He just discards them. He's like
Reaper. Reaper from Overwatch.
I was gonna go with Captain Blackbeard, where he just like has like two belts of just muskets that he just like fires, discards, grabs more, fires, discards. Like again, like Reaper, I guess, for the video game analogy.
For sure. And then my next question is Slenderman, him having home turf in the woods, being unkillable in that, is that a thing that he does?
I mean, it kind
or
of.
Or is it unknown?
Again, it's kind of unknown. Like some people will use that because some people also familiarize or kind of relate Slenderman to being like either an eldritch forest entity, a pagan god, or like even like a fae folk character, like a true fae monster, like basically so like a being of the woods in darkness.
He's a woodland critter.
Yeah, he's a woodland critter from the Woodland Critter Christmas. Yeah,
exactly. Yes. Okay.
But we just got to have Slenderman.
But we got to have Slenderman to do the sacrifice.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think generally like it's like that is his home turf, like that is his domain, like his forest.
Generally more powerful in the forest than just out in a cemetery or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
As he continued to smash Jeff against trees and slabs of rock, Jeff's knife slipped from his grip and fell to the ground with Jeff. Colliding with the ground, Jeff's knife slid into his own stomach in a matter of seconds. How?
So
the blade would have fallen to the ground and laid on its side, and then he's thrown on top of a blade that's just laying on the ground. It's not like this
Apparently-
is a video game and he drops
Yeah.
his weapon so it floats there vertically with a hold X to equip bloody knife on it.
Oh god. Well, I mean, maybe like as it fell, it happened like as because he was also falling at the same time. So maybe it fell just slightly faster than he did, and just happened to like bounce up and then like catch as he fell onto it.
Oh, so like
He
the
fell.
handle goes down first and hits the ground, and then
Yeah.
before the blade can lay flat, he falls on it.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking happened.
He just
there
happened to have the worst luck ever.
Yeah, I mean it is Jeff.
I guess.
I mean,
All right.
look how we look from like Sisser's original context. He slipped on soap and spilled hydrochloric acid on his face
Yeah, that's
while
true.
trying to clean the bathroom. That's how he
Yeah.
originally got scarred.
Hmm. Okay, well, as long as there is a plausible way that can happen, fine. I'll let that slide.
Also, any Jeff the Killer story, like his luck is terrible. Like when how he
Yeah.
gets like disfigured. Actually, now that I think about it,
Yeah, that's pretty much the entire.
Jeff just
That
has
is
bad
Jeff
luck.
the Killer. He's a dude that's down on his luck. The world fucking hates him, and he
Yeah.
turns into a monster.
Yeah, he becomes a psychotic killer as a result of it. Yeah.
Either way, next one.
Mhm.
Jeff jerked the knife from his gut and flung it directly at Slenderman. Jeff's accuracy was precise, and it sliced off of one of the man's limbs. Sure
Yep,
you did.
Naruto bullshit going on right there.
Sure you did, buddy. So, I know Slenderman's an eldritch creature of unknown biology, but there's some problems here. If
Okay.
Slenderman has bones in his arms, then no. You didn't cut off his arm by throwing a knife at him.
Sometimes maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's just like a giant jelly inside of a flesh suit.
I mean, that's possible, but
I've seen some pictures of him just having noodly arms. So
but if he does have bones, then there's no way that you're going to throw
No.
a knife and it'll go straight through. Because
this is the instance where I was like, this is some anime bullshit going on right now.
yeah, but like even if he is made of jello and shit, he wouldn't have the structural capability to pick up Jeff and slamming him around and shit. He would need bones. Right?
Not if it's eldritch horror. Because think on the Shoggoth. A Shoggoth is a giant protoplasmic mass of alternating organs, and yet it has enough strength to like crush a car in its tendril. Like if you were gonna make if I was going to stat out Slenderman, I would probably cross it like in a Call of Cthulhu RPG. I would probably cross him with a Shoggoth Lord, which are Shoggoths who over millions of years have been able to attain a human-like form. And I would probably also blend him with a Night Gaunt or a Dimensional Shambler for the dimensional travel and blinking ability that they have. Like honestly, that's probably what I would do for Slenderman. So look forward to that, Gamer in Yellow, when I run that Call of Cthulhu game.
Yeah.
When you have to go up against a teleporting Shoggoth man.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Okay, actually, the first person that's going to have to deal with that is going to be Adam and Tara from RPX.
Spoilers.
I've got a game idea for them that involving Slenderman.
Now they know.
Oh, come on,
They
Adam!
know just after
As if
that.
Adam listens to this. Hi, Adam.
Fair. Either way, okay, so moving on. If the blade is actually smaller, which it probably isn't, but realistically it should be. Either way, it's not even that big of a knife. Even if it was that huge knife, I don't think it's big enough to cleave an entire arm off from a throw.
I agree. It is bullshit.
Yes.
It is action movie bullshit.
Yeah. And
This is where the roller coaster went down a bit. I was like, oh my god, this is super thrilling but ridiculous.
And like the way he's throwing it, if the point went in first, it would only cut as deep as the blade is, right? And then if it hits sideways on the length of the blade, that's a huge length. But because of like the rotational forces and shit, if there's bone in there, it would react and bounce back from the bone and not cut through. So regardless, if there's bone, he can't cut through. Yeah.
Kind of dealing with an eldritch entity, but at that point, the arm might it's like it could show that like, oh man, he lost an arm. Whatevs, I'm an eldritch being. I can grow a new one some other time. But otherwise, the it's amazing that that knife even went in at all. unless it's like a Dark Young of Shub-Niggurath, who they have a damage reduction of 20, except for slashing damage.
I was expecting you to like go into some deep lore, and you just straight go into stats.
No, legitimately. Like so, in there's actually a Call of Cthulhu game that the Roleplay Public Radio podcast ran a couple of years back called Cthulhu Invictus, where it's Roman times against the mythos. And what's funny is a Roman centurion with a gladius is better prepared to fight a Dark Young of Shub-Niggurath than a 1920s gangster with a Thompson, because statistically, like mechanically, they can cut through them because the Dark Young have a damage reduction that is only penetrated or like null and void against slashing weapons.
And bullets don't slash the penetrate.
Yeah, because they're trees. They're effectively flesh trees. So yeah. So actually, really, I guess they could be that like I'd blend maybe a Dark Young with a Night Gaunt or a Dimensional Shambler rather than a Shoggoth for creating the Slenderman. But anyway, regardless.
Regardless, it's silly.
Yes.
But like, he threw the knife and cut his arm off, and it kind of gave the feeling like he knew that was going to happen. Like he's done it before to humans, and he knows that. So because of that, and because of like the blood coming out and how he didn't acknowledge that it was weird that it cut through, I imagined he has bone and everything, and he's just living in an anime world where he can do this.
Oh, the other point should have been like when the barrage of blood coming from his shoulder, like that's definitely an anime technique of just like blood splurt, like spraying like super high PSI.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. I was also surprised how like humanly graphic the wounds were for the Slenderman.
Yeah, I wasn't down with that.
Yeah, it seemed odd to me. Like I was like, all right, so you guys are giving him a little bit more of like he's more of like a preternatural human kind of entity, which is an interpretation. It's not. I mean, I was about to say it's not a correct one, but I was like, it's an interesting take on it because Slenderman can be so many different things because of the way it was creatively created, right? So
because he's so different, though, there shouldn't be stuff like that connects him so closely to us. Like he shouldn't have red blood, and it shouldn't have the same viscosity. It should be like black, like oozing tar or something. Something not human.
Or like the blood, it's like it's this like it hurts, like it's just pure static. Like the blood, it's blood pouring out. Like it's like liquid, viscous liquid coming out or like spraying. But it's cut. But the way it is, it's like silhouetted static, or even like puppet.
Yeah. Long story short, that whole section just needs to be dialed up on the creepiness and dialed way down on the anime-ness, in my opinion.
Fair. That's a fair take on it.
Mm-hmm. So then my next one is where Jeff gets filled with rage and lashes out at the Slenderman with extreme speeds. Jeff's knife slashing through his suit, and even though he doesn't have a knife because he threw it, just that part.
Yeah,
I'm just amazed how he can summon unlimited knives.
He's again shadow clone knife no jutsu.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that was missed because he literally just threw the knife.
I know. Yep. It's Schrodinger's knife. He has it when he needs it.
Mm-hmm. And my next one. Come on, bitch. I'm not finished with you yet, Jeff hollered. I want to help you go to sleep, Randy. You look awfully tired. I thought he didn't kill the bullies in these stories, like most of the stories.
I think it's assumed that he's going off to go kill them in most of them. Like they never actually die, or if they do, like it's kind of presumed like he goes off to go kill them or something like that. So again, this is kind of like his insanity kicking in. So now he's just seeing Randy where we're in place of Slenderman. So maybe
so it's entirely possible that in this world right now he has not killed Randy, but he's insane and hates Randy, so he's envisioning Slenderman as Randy.
Exactly, because he's reliving the trauma of his origin story, basically.
Yeah, basically. That's fine. This next one where he's fighting him in the forest for a while, and then he trips onto some shards of glass that stab him.
Yep.
First, I was like, how the fuck does he keep... his luck is so bad, he just happens to find
he stumbled upon forest. Yeah. He stumbled upon the same forest area that he was in when he smashed his 2 bottles earlier.
Yes. But I was thinking about it. I was thinking about how it wouldn't really pierce him the way it's saying. Because if it's just glass laying on the ground, relatively flat, there would have to be some pretty hugely broken pieces for it to actually go into you. If it's just small shards of glass everywhere, the most it would do is just scratch you up a bit. But he's wearing a shirt.
Yeah, no, Jeff definitely has the bad luck or the bad luck flaw, which gives him some extra points elsewhere, but allows the GM to fuck him over narratively.
For sure.
On that instance.
However, after thinking about it a bit more, he dropped the bottles here. One of them broke, yeah, but one of them didn't. So it's entirely possible that he fell on the unbroken bottle, which smashed it against him, which may have caused way more damage.
Especially if he's like frantically trying to get up, and then he's like carving it through him a little bit.
Yeah. And then we move on to Jeff has been viciously impaled on a long tree branch. And my response to that,
Continue.
It gets to the point where Jeff has been viciously impaled on a long tree branch, and my first thought of that was Slenderman wins fatality. But then I read down like, why is there so many words still? Like he's dead.
Because it's like when Jason killed Freddy by decapitating him, and then drowns himself, and then the movie is over. But then it cuts back to Camp Crystal Lake as Jason is walking back onto shore with Freddy's head, and then Freddy's like winks at the camera.
Mm-hmm.
But also, you thought that, and I immediately thought of Olaf from Frozen. It's like, oh look, I've been impaled.
Oh yeah, that's a good one too, for sure.
But yeah.
Then moving on, so he's impaled on the tree, fire is happening, it's getting closer. The blaze became brighter and surrounded Jeff. Struggling to avoid the intense heat, he violently slid his body from the tree. So he put his hands on the tree and pushed so hard that he like threw his body off of it in one swift motion.
Oh god.
Yeah, bullshit.
He's not really human in this story. A little bit.
Yeah,
like,
he's supposed to be human.
He's more human than Slenderman, but like he's also got some powers behind him. It's ridiculous. It's campy slasher movie like physiology.
Mm-hmm. I suppose, but no.
Or even anime physiology, if you want, because there was a character who in My Hero Academia who got impaled by a stalagmite through the chest and survived days later. Like they broke the stalagmite so that like it was still in him, like it was like a tree trunk through his chest, and he survived for several days later before dying in a hospital bed.
Yeah, so I feel like this should be retitled to Jeff the Killer versus Slenderman, the anime. That'd be more accurate.
Yeah, Jeff the Killer versus Slenderman Gaiden. Or Shippuden. Yes, Jeff the Killer versus Slenderman Shippuden.
Shippuden. That's probably not even how you pronounce it.
No, probably. Well, that's the sequel to Naruto. Is Naruto Shippuden?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, just like Gaiden, which I think is just next in Japanese or beyond.
Nice.
So yeah.
Okay. A couple more notes here. He had reached his limit, and his state of mind burned just as the forest did. A young girl by the name of Sarah Burgess has been reported missing. Again, these perspective shifts. Yeah, but this one especially because it's talking about Jeff, and then immediately after that, it starts with a quote. So I thought Jeff was like starting to say this, like he's just spouting news in his insanity.
He just starts like news broadcasting in the middle of a fire.
Yeah. He's like, "This is Jeff reporting from the middle of a fire. Sarah Burgess has been reported missing." As the fire angles.
All right, thank you, Jeff. That was Jeff the Killer, our on the scene correspondent.
Yeah.
Looks like this will be the final transmission from our dear cast host or cast.
The next one is just, why is Sarah even in this story? It's kind of unnecessary. Like the whole story could just start with Jeff.
Okay, yeah. The Sarah was there as like her purpose was to be in the kill scene at the beginning. It's like in a horror movie, like how like there's a character that the slasher kills first, and then we get the credit, we get to the title drop, and then we get the actual characters.
Yeah, I know, but it's there. It seems like it's there solely to emulate traditional AVP Jason versus Freddy like movies, not as its own creative license.
Well, that's exactly what it's trying to do. It's trying to emulate that genre of slasher versus slasher.
I just wish it went somewhere, like there was a reason. Like you find Sarah's body, like Jeff finds Sarah's body or something, or Sarah is a proxy that he has to deal with. Just something.
Honestly, halfway through the story, when he slashed at a tree and like just hit like a tree, I expected him to like kill, like just end up stabbing Sarah as she ran away from Slenderman.
Yeah.
Right, just got her in the chest with a knife, and I was like, "Oh, whoa, who are you? All right, well, you're dead." But I also think Mikey brought it up earlier. I think it would have been much more much tighter, like with that kind of having that as a wraparound, where like instead of this Mark and Julia characters, these Mark and Julia characters have Sarah have somehow survived the fire and the confrontation and stuff, and it's just like kind of in a daze walking through town, sees the news report on like at a storefront and then wanders by the forest and gets killed by Jeff as he survived the fire as well. That would have, I feel like that would have improved the story greatly and also made it a tighter wraparound.
For sure. And my only other note is just how the ending is kind of a little bullshit. He should be dead.
100%.
He's dead man. He's dead man. He's Jeff Deadman is his name.
Not to be confused with
Larry Deadman.
Larry Deadman, yes. From our RPG games that are currently being posted on our Patreon.
Oh, are they being posted right now?
Yep.
Nice.
Once a month.
Well, nice segue.
Check out our Patreon if you'd like to listen to some Monster of the Week creepypasta inspired shenanigans.
Wow.
But anyway,
natural and unintended plug.
Yeah,
that's it for me.
Okay, so we'll move on to final thoughts. Finally. No, I'm kidding. So yeah, my final thoughts for this. Honestly, I like the story for what it is. Brings me back to that campy horror of Freddy vs. Jason AVP films, like we've been mentioning over and over, while also giving some slightly over the top fighting sequences that are like pulled straight out of Naruto or another anime.
Slightly.
I mean, like like it's not like I mean, Naruto has got like there's maybe some of the early Naruto stuff, not like some of the later stuff. Like some of the later stuff gets a little crazy, like even by this kind of standards. It's dumb fun kind of sort of read, and I enjoyed it for that. That said, there are definitely issues that need to be worked out here. Both the obvious grammar issues that we came up with, or that we found. It started off fine for me, but by the end, it felt like that age-old creepypasta issue we had where the writer is trying to race to finish their story and not giving us enough, or there's a really nasty tonal shift and tonal whiplash that happens periodically in the story between like creepy atmosphere of like the beginning that was starting where like we're getting introduced to the characters and we're getting introduced to the characters via kill scenes, and then we get this like crazy like again anime bullshit fight sequences that like are just over the top and ridiculous, and it's fun and campy, but it can be distracting in terms of like trying to like make sense of the world. It makes sense in certain contexts because the characters aren't afraid of each other, so there's the fear level is gone in the story because it's about two predators fighting each other. Maybe if we had Sarah periodically like in the background, like who had survived some the Slenderman encounter and is just watching on in terror, that might have like placated some of that, or like grounded it with a victim like watching, or kind of a victim being caught in the middle of this fight of two predators basically fighting over the same prey. That's kind of what this is, and that's kind of what slasher versus slasher and kaiju versus kaiju films are, or like narratives are. They are two monsters that are dominant beings that fight over something else, whether it be territory or victims or what have you. So
it's a shame they didn't in this, though.
I know. I really feel like they like that's where it was going, and I enjoyed like that kind of like that surface narrative of it, but it's not handled very well. I'm glad I read it. I would probably read it again, honestly. If there were some obviously some fixes and repairs to the editing and such. I might even suggest this to a couple of people that I know that are huge into like anime fights, because this was like when I was reading, I was like, man, I need to send this to Aaron from Kame House Party, because I think he might enjoy this, like the ridiculous like Naruto fight at the halfway through this.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, yeah, I just think it really needs a lot more work done to like refine it to a part where like I'd read it again. So I'm going to partially recommend it because while I enjoyed it, it needs a lot of work. So that's my final thought and recommendations. So Mikey, D stands for evil.
All right. Well, let's see here. So I didn't like the transitions. They were very jarring. Just needs something to fix them. Easily a dash line, as we described.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the fight scene to a point. like the knife suddenly reappearing, and the forest fire when it's been raining just
Yeah.
sort of took me out of it.
It's like things were happening because they had to happen.
Like
Yeah.
it's like two conflicting scene setups. Like we got the drizzly, dark, cold rain of an atmosphere of a horror slasher film, but then this like epic forest fire backdrop of an action thriller combat. And I was like, wait, like it's raining and everything's on fire at the same time.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what I think about it? That is literally the intro. I think that's literally the opening sequence of Lethal Weapon 4. I think I'm pretty sure it's raining, and there's a guy in a pyro suit that's setting everything on fire in downtown LA.
Okay, that's shooting napalm on things.
That's
Napalm
true. Yeah,
doesn't
that's
give a
the thing. Yeah, exactly. That's napalm, not alcohol fires.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, like there needs to be an explanation as to why there's also fire in this in this rainy, drizzly night, or a drizzly morning. Sorry.
Yeah. So the thing is, if they fixed a lot of the issues that we've brought up, then I could recommend this. But as it currently is, I can't.
Fair. And
All right.
Gamer, you're up.
For me, the concept is good, but the execution isn't 100%. Slenderman is like randomly weakened to mundane standards at times, and Jeff is buffed to godlike standards at other times. Jeff should have died at least 3 times through the course of this. He's just a damn human. He can't still be alive.
Yeah, no, he's sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go.
Okay. I was going to say, I don't care that the internet thinks that he's lord among creepypasta monsters. At the end of the day, he's a human with human limits. And if he gets stabbed repeatedly and like a trunk thrown through his chest, he's freaking dead. His heart is hanging on the end of the trunk. Like, and it's 5 feet from his body. Yeah. He's done.
Also, before that even, when Slenderman smashes him through a gravestone, and to the point where the impact breaks the gravestone, there's some broken bones or spine.
Yeah, I feel like his skull would have great.
Yeah, that too. Like he either died there or like he can't get up as quickly as he got up within like the next sentence he's up.
Oh, of course, this is Jeff the Killer. He's unkillable.
Know, yeah. But yeah, like
he's everyone's favorite.
He's only human after all, and we will put the blame on him.
Yeah, we will. Basically, there needs to be some form of balance added into this to make it work. Like the way that they did it in Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, the game. The Mortal Kombat characters are super powered, of course, but not to comic book standards. So they came up with a story reason how like Baraka could fight Superman and it'd be fair. And it kind of needs that sort of thing here if they're going to fight. As it stands, go ahead.
No, continue. I was going to
go ahead.
Give an explanation, but no, it's your spot.
Go
you sure?
ahead.
Like it doesn't really give us any like reason as to why Slenderman has been depowered. Like if there was something like maybe Sarah or her friends or something tried a ritual to try and like banish Slenderman and and all it did was just depower him a little bit. Like maybe that's the explanation as to why he's taking so much graphic like harm and like damage. But yeah, otherwise it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because Slenderman generally does not get hurt.
So in the story, they had Jeff come to a conclusion that if he fights him outside the forest, he has a better chance. So if they just hammered home on that better, like Jeff intentionally put the fire behind Slenderman so he couldn't get through it, so he had to fight him outside the forest, then okay. But things just happen for reasons, and his power level rises and falls like a roller coaster.
Exactly, yeah. Honestly, that would be a good tactic as well. Yeah, like maybe in this iteration of Slenderman, he is god tier when he's in the woods because like he is a being of the forest. So if if Jeff gets rid of the fort, like maybe when he sees Slenderman like going back into the woods, he's like, all right, well, so that's his trick. All right, you're gonna go hide to your hovel. Well, I'm gonna burn it down. And so then you get like then we get a scene of like Jeff coming back onto the scene with like jugs of gasoline as he starts like basically like dousing tree trunks with fire or gets some like homemade napalm with like I'm not going to say it on air because that would incriminate myself, but like how to make that homemade napalm where you just pouring it down on there so that it won't it won't go out with the rain that's happening.
Yep.
But yeah,
Or
that's a good that's a good point to put out. So
As it stands, Jeff really had no chance against Slenderman. They're on entirely different tiers. A buddy horror would have made a better choice, in my opinion. To have Jeff meet Slenderman's proxies and probably kill all of them and become Slenderman's like proxy prime, basically. That would be the best way to do this.
yeah, he's just got like this like really creepy like smiley mask that like covers his normal face.
Yeah. He's already got the hoodie.
Yeah. Honestly, I was halfway through this, like before he like as he was like skulking through the woods, I was like, where is this gonna? Because at this point I hadn't like really like looked to. I think I'd seen some images of Jeff the Killer versus Slenderman, and some of them were like of them just being bros.
Yeah.
So I was like, is this gonna end up them like just teaming up and like going on a killing spree or something?
I think that would have been the best way to do it because they could not fight each other. Slenderman would just own him.
Yeah, no, because Slenderman's on a god tier, and Jeff is probably on extraordinary tier at best.
At best, yeah. So overall, I would not recommend the story, and I'm a little annoyed with you cultists that you kind of like. You're like, oh, here's some pretty good creepypastas about Jeff the
Hey,
Killer.
I didn't say I did
pretty
not
good.
say they were pretty good. I just said
And then right at
here's-
the end, you're just like, no, you have to remember.
I personally, again, like this is our difference of opinions. I personally didn't hate this story. I liked like where it was. It's flawed. I will agree with you on that. It is flawed, but I liked the premise of it. I felt it was a good like kind of sign off for me anyway because it was like just a silly, campy creepypasta. So
I didn't like the silliness of it though.
sorry to
needed
hear
it
that.
more. Yeah, personally, I wish it was grounded a little bit more in reality, quote unquote reality. We're talking about an eldritch creature named Slenderman, but
Yeah.
you know, he's a human. Jeff is a human. He should be bound to human limits. And as I said, the best way to do this would be them buddying up, like him killing all the verses is him versusing all of the proxies, because the proxies in him would be on equal levels. And then once he beats them all, then they're bros. And then the next story becomes a buddy horror.
That'd be a cool story. I would also read that.
Mm-hmm. But as it stands, I cannot recommend this one.
All right.
I didn't hate it. I've read way worse Jeff the Killer stories. Just like in this new round of Jeff the Killer stories, this is probably the bottom. Because some of them were
hang right on, sir.
Yeah.
This is I'm sorry, and no offense to Cesar, but this is worse than Cesar's version of Jeff the Killer.
Oh, I'm saying like our Jeffuary ones.
Yeah, which involves Cesar.
I don't remember that one being horrible.
It was the one where like he was just like he hated the world for reasons.
Every Jeff the story hates the world for reasons.
I mean, generally he has the fair. If you think this is the bottom of the barrel for you, all right.
I remember being annoyed with the concepts and the lack of like physics and stuff like that.
Yeah,
like there's less rationale in this on how things work. So maybe I also hated that one too. I've been trying to purge these from my memory every week, but I've read better Jeff the Killer stories to be sure.
Oh, that's fair. This was definitely a pro Slenderman story more than a pro Jeff the Killer story.
Yeah, although I will give this credit for actually making a story with Slenderman versus Jeff and putting at least the concept in my head of having them end up being a buddy horror thing.
Yeah,
because that would be cute.
But that's your verdict.
Yeah, I can get off the soapbox for now.
All right, no worries. So that was this week's episode. If you like what you heard, or if you didn't, leave us a comment in the comment section below where this gets posted, whether it be on Podbean, Facebook, YouTube, or Tumblr. Kind of. We're not really on Tumblr anymore. At least I haven't been really updating it. Maybe I should do that.
Yeah, maybe.
You can also check out, or you can also send us emails at aldenterigamortis@gmail.com. That's ALDENTERIGAMORTIS@gmail.com, where you can also leave us suggestions for other creepypastas, SCPs, spooky internet stories that you'd like us to discuss and talk about and review in a sense. We'll do it.
So in a sense, we should review them.
I realize like we are a discussion show, but we're also kind of a review show.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you'd like to send us emails, also let us know how we're doing. If you think we're trash, if you think we're great, either or, I'm fine with it. I know I'm pretty sure they're fine with it. Just get a hold of us there on the email, or you can talk to us on Twitter. Mikey is at the E stands for evil. The Gamer in Yellow is at the Gamer in Yellow, but without the W because his name is too damn long.
It really is.
And I'm at Review Cultist. You can help us financially, you can go to Patreon, look up Al Dente Rigor Mortis at Patreon, and select the backer tier you'd like to support us at. We have $2 and $5 tier with special episodes, early access, extra content like those actual plays of Monster of the Week RPG games where I run them through a creepypasta-esque world of horror, danger, and excitement. You can, yeah. For our patrons that are already helping support the show, thank you guys immensely. As always, you're helping keep those hosting bills at bay, and we very much appreciate it. To the listeners of our show and the authors of these stories, thank you immensely, because without your listenership, it would be like talking into the void. And without the stories that you write and post online and share with people, we really wouldn't have much of a show because we'd have nothing to talk about or read, and I'd be sad. So thank you all the same. Until next time, I have been your host, Review Cultist.
I'm Mikey. The E stands for evil.
And I'm the gamer in yellow.
And this concludes Jeffuary. And this has been Al Dente Rigor Mortis. Sleep well.
And go to sleep.